Hey guys, how's it going? So, recently I've mostly been streaming Arknights. I think maybe next weekend I'll probably do at least one more Integrated Strategies 2 stream. I've really enjoyed the Arknights roguelike streams we've done. I don't know when Ice 3 comes out for that game, but earlier this week the Genshin 3.4 patch came out, so I thought we'd go ahead and stream some of the new stuff for it. I don't actually think, to my knowledge, unless... I mean, I haven't even started this, but I'm not sure what all there is with this new patch. I really haven't looked into it. But I wanted to go ahead and start by doing the Lantern Rite. I thought that'd be a lot of fun. It's interesting because I think they're going to put a little bit more emphasis based on the trailer on Hu Tao and Xinyan. And they really haven't shined a whole lot when it comes to Liyue characters and Liyue events. Usually when a Liyue event comes around, I feel like it's either the Adeptus, like Ganyu here, or it'll be like the Qixing and Beidou. It's not often that we find, like... Now that I think about it, even like... Well... No, we've seen Zhongli a little bit in some of the events, but we do see, I feel like, a lot of the same recurring characters in each of the nations. So, who knows. But I figured we'd start out with this. I realized, too, with this new... whatever this new quest is, because there's an entirely new part of Sumeru here that just released. I haven't even done the Golden Slumber World quest, because I was procrastinating and forgot to do it. So I don't know how important that'll be to that, but maybe if we finish this pretty fast, we'll look at that afterwards. I don't know if this is one of the events that everything is released. I've seen a lot of stuff on it, but I know when they release like a new event, sometimes it takes like a week before everything's released in pieces. We'll just have to see. If it comes to it, maybe next weekend we'll go ahead and finish up this event, because I really do enjoy the Lantern Rite. It's one of the events that they put a lot of effort into. Though I think they put a lot of effort into all the events, but we'll just have to see. Hopefully the volume's okay on the game. I turned it down a little bit because it was blowing my ears out, but I know a few of my friends who tuned in the stream have said that sometimes... What just... Oh, that scared me. I was going to say sometimes the volume's a little bit quieter on stream and recording. Turn this on auto. I do find it interesting they're adding more and more to Sumeru, though, because I think part of the reason they had to add the chasm was because Liyue was supposed to be lore-wise like the biggest nation, but that's not always seeming to be the case with how much we're seeing.
That brings us together in this place. How have you fared as of late?
Oh, I've just been dandy.
Setbacks are inevitable over the course of a long journey. If you wish to share what's troubling you, allow me to lend my ear.
It is kind of cool, though, that every time it feels like we haven't seen certain characters in the story or events or anything, they kind of tune back into it. I remember a while back I was telling my friend who stopped playing the game, like, yeah, Sumeru just came out and we hadn't been in Mondstadt for a while, and then an event for Mondstadt came out. So, who really knows?
You are too kind.
So, Zhongli, are you here to listen to stories over tea again?
I
Not
had
even on
originally
Mantis one?
planned to set out after this
That's
last
crazy.
round of tea. However, I had planned to take a walk to Qingce village and gather some nascent bamboo shoots, which are currently in season. A villager there once gave me a small sample, and they possessed a most excellent flavor.
We're never gonna have to go out to Kinsei village, or... Yeah, this isn't where I thought this was gonna go. I guess it makes sense that we'd probably be here with, like, the beginning of the preparation for the festival. But most of the stuff I've seen is, like, just in the festival. That look right there. Jeez.
The nascent bamboo shoot has a uniquely tender texture and a delicate sweet taste that its normal cousin cannot match.
And if you can just go pick it, it's free because he never has any money. It's crazy.
You know me well.
Unless he's like stealing it off of private property, but you know, that's probably besides the point.
There are a few other items I have not yet procured from Director Hu's list. May I ask if you have already made arrangements for the days ahead?
I think that's one of the first times we've actually heard it referred to as just like Hu, even though he said director. It's usually the people in Genshin will call her like full-on Hu Tao.
Well then, might I invite you to imagine the sheer delight that is a soup cooked with the freshest nascent bamboo shoots in all the land. Generous cuts of pork belly and crisp, fragrant bamboo shoots placed together in the pot and left to simmer slowly for half a day.
I actually haven't had anything like that.
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Paimon's on your plan. You just want to hoodwink us into fetching your bamboo for you.
Oh my gosh.
Why, I assure you.
I really do wish you could like switch between Lumine and Aether. I really like Lumine.
Wish to inform you of the freshest, most
But way back when I didn't even know. I didn't think it mattered and I assumed you'd be able to switch, but I know that's something people have been calling for a long time. Just because I'm curious to hear, like, you don't really hear their voice actors a whole lot, like hardly ever, but just like the expressions and stuff, I wonder how much they are on Aether's side.
Bamboo shoot shouldn't take too long. Paimon has got to get her hands on some of that soup.
Such fine specimens are indeed well worth the excursion. Very well. I shall leave the bamboo shoots to you. Should you have the good fortune to find some,
Please share them with me as well.
share them with me as
Of course. Yeah, we didn't even know these existed
Paimon
until yeah.
bamboozling
So
us.
we didn't even know these really
However,
existed until he sent
there is
us
no
there.
need to rush. The streets of Liu will be bustling with visitors and filled with all manner of celebrations during the festive period. By all means, go wherever your interests lead you. The nascent bamboo shoots would be but a
This is absolutely
wonderful
like an
final
older
touch to
parent.
a
I know
most
Lumine's like
exceptional
canonically supposed to be
feast.
older than everyone in Teyvat,
Honor it
but it's
would
like
be
an
to
older
savor
parent
them in
just
the
trying
company
to
of
slightly
friends.
coerce a child into doing something for them. By all means, take all the time you have. Don't worry about me. If you happen to find some though, while you happen to be over here after I put this idea in your head, would you be so kind as to give some to me too? That's really funny.
We're heading out. Enjoy
I wonder if we're actually ever gonna get to go inside the funeral parlor.
Take care now,
I'd
my
assume.
friend.
Like, I didn't think we'd ever be able to go into the Cat's Tail, and now the Cat's Tail is where Genius Invocation is. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention, too, this Patch's banner's not what I'm super into. I'll hate them, I thought was a funny character, but it's kind of the same thing for me as Sino in that if I'm gonna pull on a character, I have to really, really, really like the character if I'm not super into their kit. And so far, to me, Alhaitham didn't really seem like a character I'd play, just because I do already have... Actually, when I do play Dendro teams, I like running Dendro Traveler, and I really like Nahida's kit. And it didn't feel like that was really the way I'd go with it. And overall, I'm still, I mean, you can probably tell, I'm still sticking largely to teams I use. I mean, in Spiral Abyss, I don't think I've finished, I haven't finished the current reset. I usually just pop in during the week and do like 1 or 2 floors at a time. But I still use, unless I specifically need something else. Like I know last run we needed some Geo character for the Wolf Lord. I still run like Raiden Eula. I've been running Raiden Eula, Miko, Kokomi, and then a Hu Tao Zhongli Yelan team. But part of the enjoyment in games like this is for sure branching out into different teams. We'll go ahead and use a different team. And by different, I mean the other team I really use. I've been meaning to build some other characters, though. The Nilo team, I need a little bit more preparation for. My Ganyu team actually isn't terrible, but I'm not entirely sure what all you put with Ganyu, because sometimes she's a little bit weird. I went ahead and just threw... I know she's another character like Zhao or Hu Tao that basically needs a strong shielder. I threw in... I just like having a healer in the team, unless I'm running Hu Tao. I know this team has it, but a little bit different than Spiral Abyss. And then I threw in Tartaglia because he can apply Hydro and he has the talent that increases normal attack level by 1. But let's go ahead and use this team. I actually think this team, in terms of just pure boss DPS, is a little bit stronger than the main team. I think the other team's just a little bit nicer. My Hu Tao's already almost dead. That sounds about right. But either way, sorry, I was losing track a bit there. I wasn't really planning on rolling for Alhaitham. So kind of the same thing as Sino. I thought the character is really funny. But Sino's kit as well, I just didn't think I'd use. I think at the time... Oh, jeez, Boar. Calm down. I think I had pretty much every other Electro character in the game at the time. But I am really excited for Dea. Just because the kit looks really, really unique. And I like the idea of like a fist fighter. I don't know if the leaks are correct. You never know. They're usually pretty spot on. This close to the... because the banner should be next patch. At that point, they're usually pretty spot on. The idea of like a bruiser character I think is really cool. I was really hoping that Hazo would be a really fun character. And I think Hazo's interesting. But I think that part of the issue too is that... Oh, it's Xiao Yao. I think that part of the issue is that Hazo's Animo. And Animo is one of those elements that like I just don't like using as my main DPS. My most played Animo characters are Jean, who's the support. And Kazuha is also basically a support. That has to be someone from Fontaine, based on design.
I think I'm
We're
okay
meeting
now.
Yao Yao now. I think we get a free Yao Yao.
So much.
So I didn't worry about rolling for her either.
That was scary.
Hmm.
Well, at least you're all right. All thanks to your savior here.
Hmm.
Oh. a little
I have
girl?
no idea. Is this going to be like an elf
Greetings,
character or?
everyone. My name is Yao Yao.
Hmm.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Hi Yao Yao. Your design was leaked like 2 years ago and then you never came out.
My name's Prima, and this is the traveler.
Jeez. I do wonder when the anime eventually comes out, because that'll probably be in like a year or two.
I came through
I'm sure they've
Stone
actually
Gate
given like a
intended to head
tentative
towards
date.
Liyue Harbor, but
Are
then
they
I
going to
became
add in characters that
captivated
weren't
by the
added in
beautiful
till later, like
scenery.
when we get to Liyue?
Before long, I
We'll
was
say Ye
completely
Lan show up at
lost.
all because she didn't show up
Just
in
now, I was
Liyue
so
until
mesmerized
way
by
after
the
the base
waterfall
story's
that I
events.
Slipped and fell into the water.
Hmm.
If it weren't for Miss Yao Yao's help, I shudder to think what might have happened.
Waterfalls are really
It's all
pretty.
right, Mr. Dvorak. The splashing around the
Dvorak?
bottom of the waterfall means the stone path is always wet and slippy.
Hmm.
You definitely have to be careful. Next time they're exploring
I'm trying to
an
remember.
unfamiliar environment,
Is she a member of the
try to
Qixing?
focus on what's right in front of you. Don't let your mind
I know I've been
wander.
told, but
As long as you
I
watch
actually
your
can't
step,
remember.
accidents like this won't happen anymore.
She does seem very responsible,
Yes,
though.
ma'am. I understand. I'll remember to be more careful next time.
Yeah, let's give him Zhongli's bamboo shoots.
Oh, are you hungry, sir?
That'll teach him to stop trying to manipulate us.
Oh, I'll be fine.
Please, sir, it's quite all right. I was born and raised here in Liyue. It's only natural for me to extend my hospitality to any guests who are passing through. I expect you still have
Okay.
quite a long journey ahead of you. It's very important to keep your energy levels up. I still have some lotus flower crisps left in my backpack. Why don't we split them between the four of us?
Oh, okay.
Aw, what a thoughtful kid!
I just had wondered. It seems like she is just a kid character. I had wondered for a second though, because you have characters like Klee, who I think is actually supposed to be like 50. Elves just age slower. Though I could be. The caveat is I'm often wrong on these types of things because I don't remember, right?
If only there were more.
But like Chi-Chi is not technically a child either. She's been around for a long, long time as a zombie. So, who knows?
Having a healthy appetite is a good thing. It means Paimon's still growing. If I'd known I was going to run into you, I would have made a second batch. Hope you're taking notes, traveler. This is how you treat your Paimon.
Well, then why don't you stay
What do
here
you
and
think,
Leah with
sir?
her?
Are Liyue's snacks to your taste? I wonder if they're not sweet enough.
Don't be mean
No,
to the.
no, they're perfect.
Okay, I was gonna say, don't be mean to Yao Yao. This is the situation where even if you
When I was
hate them,
traveling through
you say
Mondstadt,
they're
I had a
great.
chance to try one of their meat pies. They had a meat filling, unlike these crisps. But apart from that, it seems like they follow a similar cooking process. Both are delicious in their
interesting.
own way. As for Fontaine's cooking, though,
Yeah, he is from Fontaine.
been a long time
Yeah,
since
like
I've
this
had
kind
a
of
taste of home.
particular, I don't know what to
Sounds
call
like
it,
you
type of
spent a
design
lot of
though,
time on the road, huh?
has already been leaked, I think, in a couple characters. Like the
I do.
first design we
It's part
saw
of my job.
from
I'm one of the
Fontaine,
main
that
organizers
wasn't
of
like
the
an
iridescence
NPC. I
tour.
think we're like the two. It was like a boy and a girl unit, and people are thinking they might be a paired unit. But I have also heard some interesting rumors about who the Archon might be. Because so many of like the really, really prominent designs are based off of Honkai characters. So, and there are a couple specific ones, like, I don't know if I've talked about the Hydra one on stream before. But I've heard leaks that there might be two. Like a present and like a almost retiree. Which is kind of interesting just because so many of the Archons we know kind of set down the title. Basically all the ones we've met aren't technically really actively, except for I guess A. But like Zhongli and Venti, and Nahida, I guess only half the 4 Archons we've met so far aren't technically actively taking part in their duties in their country. That sounds a little bit bad, but not for like terrible reasons. But we haven't seen like 2, like a current and present one. I don't think that the Shogun and A really count. But I've heard that one might be based on Sella and what might be based on... Oh, I'm stuttering today. Sorry, I'm a little tired. One might be based on Cell, and one might be based on Durandal. And then I've heard since a long, long time ago the Pyro Archon's design is probably based on Himeko. which is interesting just because that still leaves a character to probably be based on Bronya. And I'd be really surprised if the Cryo Archon was based on her, just because, for me, from what we've heard of the Saritsa so far, that just doesn't feel like it fit to me personally, but that might just be
The
me.
Iridescence Tour is one of the biggest
And I've heard that
music festivals in
Fuhua, I mean,
Fontaine.
people are really split
We're
on whether
looking to expand,
Shenhe is
though.
supposed to be
Our
Fuhua,
aim is to
but
hold a festival in every
if
nation.
that's the case, then technically there's that connection there. I never really saw that
At
one,
least
but I know a lot of
all the
people that
main
are convinced
organizers
that's who
share
it
the
is.
school. Unfortunately,
And I wouldn't be surprised, it's not like the character has to
it's
be a
long
one-to-one
story.
pretty much
I'll spare
representation,
you the details.
like some of the other ones
But
we've
anyway,
gotten.
so the main reason I'm traveling all around Tavad is to promote our music festivals.
Yeah, he has like
But
musical
I have some
notes on his
personal
hat.
reasons too.
Well, what are they? Just tell us
Yeah,
already.
just go ahead and pry, Paimon.
Let me see. Well,
You literally just
to
said it's
explain it in
personal,
full,
and the
I'd have to
immediate thing
start
you
with
do
the
is
story of my
ask.
ancestors. I don't want
Jeez.
to take up too much of your time.
Oh, I love listening to stories.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. We want to hear it too.
So far, Yayao's energy reminds me a little bit of like a younger
Okay,
version of
Then I'll
Yoimiya,
start from the
like
beginning.
super wholesome,
The story goes,
like
my
energetic in a way that she
ancestor,
always seems
who was
interested
also
in
a
what you're
traveler,
talking about.
once slipped
Really
and
wholesome
fell into a
characters.
lake during his travels.
Hmm.
As he was sinking and gasping for breath,
Oh,
he
okay.
heard a wondrous tune in the air. They say it was the most beautiful, moving melody he had ever heard. Even in that
Well?
life and death moment,
Huh.
the ethereal music seized his full attention and almost made him
Interesting.
forget the fact that he was drowning. When he finally came to, he found that he had already been brought ashore. Not too far from him
Almost
stood an
divine
unfamiliar
aura.
woman with an almost divine
Oh,
aura. Once she saw that he was no longer in danger,
I
she
wonder if
left
that's
without
a,
a
what's her
word.
name? Is it
My
Guizhong?
ancestor tried to
I've heard
look
that we
after
get
her to give us
backstory for
thanks,
Zhongli's
but
friends
although
in
a mere dozen
this
paces
patch. I can't remember if it was
separated
in
them,
the
no matter
Lantern
how
Rite, but
quickly
that would
he
make
gave
sense.
chase, he drew no closer and remained a dozen paces behind. In the end, all he could do was to bow in thanks to the woman as he watched her walk away towards the rivers and mountains in the distance, before at last he turned around and made his way home. Once he
interesting.
returned to Fontaine, he began to learn an instrument so that he could spread his story far and wide, just like the bards. After generations of retelling, embellishing, and dramatizing, people have come to
What's
think
interesting to
of
me
that
is that
lady
looks less
as
like an
something
acoustic
like a
guitar and
fairy.
more like an electric guitar, and I don't see an amp on
The
this dude.
story's become something of a local legend in Fontaine.
But if he
It's
is
called the Lady
running around with an
Overlooking
electric
the
guitar,
Lake.
he'd probably get along with
People
Xinyan.
now say that if you go
Who is
down
in
to
this
the
event.
lakeside and play an instrument, so long as you play a pleasing melody, you will hear a fairy lady who is hiding out of sight,
Fair
playing
lady.
along with you.
Maybe it's not her.
Oh,
Yeah, I would actually say
Exactly.
that. From what
It
we
may
know of
just
the
be a
lore in
legend
Tavad,
to
it's not
others,
that
but
far-fetched.
For me, it's a real part of my family history.
Hmm.
I wanted to find out the truth of this tale. So I
Okay.
decided to retrace my ancestors' steps and search for
If
that lady's modern
it
day descendants.
is Guizhong he's talking about, I don't
There's no way of
think
knowing
she
where my
has
ancestor
modern
fell
day
into the lake all those
descendants,
years
does she?
ago. So I always knew that the search would be
Although
akin
this
to
guy
looking
probably
for a
wouldn't know
needle in a
that.
haystack. I've spent many years
I
on
think the fact
road
that
now, and I'm nowhere
Adepti
near as fit as I was in
exist
my
in
youth.
Liyue is pretty well known across all the
The wish that
nations
I've
from what we
spent
can
half
tell,
my life
but
chasing after has now become
I mean,
something
unless they
of
have
an
very
obsession.
obvious like features like Xiao or Ganyu,
well, I
might not be
haven't
the
lived
easiest to
half
tell.
of my life yet, but
Hmm.
still, I understand how you must feel. I'm in too.
Hmm.
It's like,
Oh my
imagine
gosh!
being the center of a lotus flower.
I just saw the first line and I knew where this was going.
Because you wanted to eat it another day, but then suddenly, sploosh! It falls into the water, never to be seen again.
Oh jeez.
Paimon would definitely remember that for the rest of his life.
Lamine just looks unimpressed and this guy just looked concerned for a second
There's no
there.
need to feel sorry for me. I have made some progress over the years.
Hmm.
For example, I've concluded that the story must have taken place in Liyue.
Oh, so you finally found a lead?
Well,
Yes, in fact, that's an intriguing
mean-
story in and of itself.
if it's based on just a waterfall by itself. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting the story a lot here, but I like to stream just because I like to ramble about these types of things. None of my friends play Genshin anymore. But, I mean, it's interesting too, but it makes sense because if there's a waterfall, there's only a few specific places that could have been in, like, of the 4 nations we've seen so far, right? There's been, like, mini waterfalls, at least, I think, in every single one of them. But based on, like, the fact that there was a beach, all that other stuff, like, I don't know. There was sand and such. I mean, there's half a desert, half forest in Sumeru, but that couldn't have been there. We haven't been to Natline, so I don't know. He's obviously from Fontaine. It's almost definitely not in Frozen Snezhnaya. So you think about, like, where else it could be. And, like... Well, now that I think about it, there's not really a beach in Mondstadt either. And, like, when you say beach, I don't think about, like... You think about, like, the sandy riverbank by, like, a lot of waterfalls or lakes or stuff. You think about, like, a full-on beach. And the only other place I could think of aside from Leoa is Inazuma. I'm trying to remember... Because there's, like, beaches over by, like, Watatsumi Island and whatnot, but... Overall, though, makes a lot of sense.
City of song and freedom. But more recently, I heard that the Animal Archon returned to Mondstadt for a festival in the fall, and learned that he himself is a patron deity of music.
I mean,
So
he's
I
always been
prayed for
there.
the Animal
I don't think
Archon's
that they
guidance
realized
in the
that he was
Mondstadt
just standing there
Cathedral.
playing the song
And
that
as soon
was
as I set foot back
heralding
outside the
in.
front gate,
I guess you
noticed
can't
a
see my air
cluster
quotes,
of
but
leaves
heralding in the
being blown
Animal
in the wind
Archon.
further and further west, towards Stone Gate.
Interesting.
A friendly local told me that this meant the wind was guiding me in the direction of Liyue. So I followed their advice and made my
Here
way
I am
here.
trying to use logic to deduce where it would have been from, like, his point of view, and he's like, nope. I went into Mondstadt, and the wind blew this way. It probably was Venti, don't get me wrong, but still.
You get it. I knew I'd
Jeez.
find someone that agrees with me eventually.
It's because we've met Venti.
Are you sure? It sounds a bit too much like one of those
Gullible
fake
grannies.
legends told by those treasure hoarder guys to
Oh my
scam
gosh.
gullible grannies from Jinxa Village. Rex Lapis has returned to the world. Just give me some incense and a little more towards the travel.
Literally sounds like a
I will pass
clickbait
your
ad
gift on to
online.
the Lord of Geo and ask him to keep you and your family safe and well, and so on and so on.
Yeah, it does seem like she has a good head on her shoulders. I think it's a little bit different when you live in a world like Tevat. Yeah. Where something like that actually could happen, but
You only got
still.
scammed if you handed over Mora, right?
Or valuables.
Actually,
Or personal
to express
information.
my gratitude,
But you're...
I did spend rather a lot of
Oh
more
my
on
gosh.
several bottles of fine wine, which I left at the statues of the Seven along the way.
Venti and John Lee would have been happy about that.
Well,
Jeez.
how about this, ladies and gentlemen? Why don't I bring you all to Yujing Terrace
Okay,
to see
we're
Miss
gonna go see
Ganyu?
Ganyu.
I don't know very many people, so I can't help you out much. But Miss Ganyu and the Qixing know just about everything. If you've been scammed, they'll help you get your Mora back. And if the wind was telling the truth, and you want to keep looking for that lady's family, they'll be the best people to ask.
Yep.
But you've already helped me so much.
That's
I was
not
gonna
really a
take
big
some
deal.
new medicinal herbs
That's
and
basically
plants
all
and
Lumine
things
ever
to
does
Miss Ganyu
nowadays.
anyway, so it's no trouble at all. You know what? It's been a minute since we saw Ganyu too. It should be nice to pay her a visit before Lantern Rite.
All
I
right,
like
well,
Ganyu.
my
I don't
sincere
think I've met
thanks to you
anyone who
all.
legitimately
I will
doesn't
never
like
forget
Ganyu,
your
actually.
kindness.
Okay, everyone, please follow me. I'll be your guide. Remember to watch where you're going, okay?
Okay.
Paimon's out of a job. Oh well.
Jeez.
Paimon will just be a cheerleader instead.
It's kind of funny though, like, I still don't know if the whole Paimon being like an unknown god, that theory or anything, is correct. It could be. I wouldn't put it past the game to put something like that under our noses the entire time. But it's like, people are saying part of the reason is like, not only the design similarities, but that she actually knows so much about Tevat despite seemingly being such a young character. But you see characters like Yao Yao, who know so much about like just their home nation. And sure, the entirety of Tevat's like 7 times the size with 7 nations, but still, you know, it's not exactly that crazy. I've met people much younger than me that know a ton more in lots of things. So, not that crazy to me, but I don't know. I feel like I often have differing opinions and stuff like that than most people. Which makes me feel like I'm usually probably wrong.
Liyue Harbor looks very different from when I came last. It's almost as if I'm listening to the same melody, but with a richer timbre and new variations added.
That's good.
Well,
Does it mean you're probably in the right place?
After all. It only comes once a year, so they always have a big celebration. It's fair to say that this time of year is when Liyue Harbor looks the prettiest.
Great. Let's go and check it out. I can't wait to get into the city and see it all up close for myself.
That's good.
The streets are breathtaking.
Yeah, I didn't expect that we'd be
Smiles and
spending so much
laughter
time.
everywhere I look.
Again,
It's
like, all I'd
contagious.
seen about the Lantern Rite was that Jinyan and
I
Hu
can
Tao would
almost
be
feel
here.
the music in the air.
And some kind of like performance. But I wasn't really expecting to be running around as Yao Yao and a person from Fontaine that we'll probably never see again. Who knows though? We are going to Fontaine next, so it is very possible. I don't know if we can lose. Oh, okay. I don't know if we can lose the character. Oh, there she is.
Hey everyone! Fancy meeting you all here. What a nice surprise.
Hello, Xinyan. Let me introduce some new friends. They are...
Yeah, we...
Traveler, Paimon, and Mr. Dvorak,
Yeah.
right? I've known
Oh,
them
he
all
knows
for
Mr.
quite a while.
Dvorak. I don't know how you... Like, this is why names always confuse me. Genuinely, games. Like, I just do my best, but I think the best example was, Exia from Arknights. Her name is spelled like it's Exusiai, I think. And I remember looking at that, and she was my first 6-star, and I was like, how do you pronounce that? Like, I think my first guess was like Exusiai or something like that. I think the English voice actor pronounces it like Exusia. And then I know in the like anime dub and everything, they just call her Exia, and I think that's generally what it is. But like Dvorak, where's the j sound? Just confused.
When I was last here to advertise a Liyue stop for the Iridescence tour,
Hmm.
Xinyan was one of the few people willing to give me the time of day.
Oh, there you go. People in Liyue Harbor, though, to be fair, are just busy.
Feels like I've been chasing this Iridescence tour bandwagon halfway around the world, but I keep getting stood
Oh, I
up.
forgot about that.
What's going on, Mr. Dvorak?
I'm so sorry, Xinyan.
Hmm.
We've had a string of terrible luck recently, and every time we've tried to put on a show, something or other has come up to stop our plans from materializing.
That makes me feel like they're just
Is
holding
that
off on it
right?
until we're actually in Fontaine.
I guess it can't be helped. So, what brings you to Liyue
It
Harbor
really does
this
make you
time of
wonder, though,
year
like,
anyway?
there's so much
Thinking of
anticipation
putting
for
on
what's
a
going to be
music festival
in
during the
Fontaine
Lantern Rite
now, since
celebration?
it's going to be next,
A
and what's going to be in
Lantern Rite
Shinesnaya,
music
which you would assume is the 7th nation we visit to.
No,
So I just have to wonder,
I'm actually here on personal
what are we going to
business
do in
this time.
Natlan?
Oh, so no Lantern Rite Music Festival?
I mean, that's not just up to me. Hosting a music festival takes a lot of funding and personnel. Moreover, I've never worked with the Liyue authorities before. Even if I were to start putting something together right now, I think it'd be too rushed.
And yet, we know what happened.
But we're going to meet the Liyue Qixing, aren't we? And they're the ones in charge.
To be fair, like,
that's
everyone
right.
listens to...
Miss Kuchi
Oh yeah, I was
is
going to say,
the
we're
one
going to
who
go
makes
see Ganyu.
anything
Everyone
happen.
listens to Ganyu. I don't know if Ganyu has, like...
What?
Like, if Ganyu said, we're going to do this, I'm sure we'd get permission. But I don't think that's really in Ganyu's character, but asking Kuching or Ningguang makes more sense. Yeah,
That's the
music festivals are always
spirit.
great. Doesn't
See?
appeal to everyone,
The
but nothing
traveler
else
agrees
will.
with me. Mr. Dvorak, don't let yourself be put off by the fact that a few things haven't worked out recently. As for the performers,
I like
can put you
Jinana,
in touch with
actually.
some local artists.
I haven't really played her, but one of my friends who
is a
did used to play a
well-known
lot
opera singer in Liyue.
surprisingly
When
used her
first
a
awarded
lot.
commissioned song
I
to the
think the
Unified
only
Opera
5 stars he ended
we
up
should be
having,
able
though,
to
were
get
like
something
Zhao.
going.
He had Zhao, Mona,
You, Xinyan? Are you just going
and,
to sit this one out?
who else was
What
it?
do you take me for?
I'm trying to remember who. He had like one of... No, he had Siwon Yula, Siwon Zhao, and Mona. Because he hopped in, and I think got 4 of his 5 stars completely free to play early. And I was like, what? And he only lost a 150-50. He was pretty bummed about that one, though, because he was trying to go for Kokomi. And that's what kind of turned him off from the game.
I'll give it a shot.
Felt kind of bad for him.
The opening act is not something to be chosen lightly, Xinyan. I will judge your work by the strictest of standards, so please make sure you are fully prepared.
Are
Okay.
you kidding? I thought you'd never ask. Whew, guess my shopping time's getting cut short. I'm gonna head back right away and start working on this. Yao Yao, if you run into your senior on the way to the Qixing, please send her my regards.
Okay, I promise I will.
Her
Good luck with your
superior.
music, Xinyan.
So she is, it sounds like, in the Qixing. Unless I misinterpreted that line. Because I think I've heard that she actually...
So about the singer
I'm
of
thinking...
yours Shinya mentioned just now.
Is it Ganyu?
Is that anyone we know?
Hold on, I don't want...
Yes, it's Xiangling. She's
Oh!
mentioned you two before.
That explains the hairstyle.
Xiangling's always thinking about cooking. Whenever
Huh.
she gets
So she's not a member of the
burns,
Qixing then
she just
if her
leaves them
superior
to
is
heal by
Xiangling.
themselves. She definitely needs someone around her to look after her.
I'm confused because it seemed like... Oh, they were still talking. Never mind. I accidentally canceled it. So what I'm confused about there is it sounded almost like... You know, Yao Yao at first was like... For a second there, since she knew about like Ganyu, seemed like she could approach Ganyu. And I've heard that she kind of helps take care of everyone. I actually thought she might be part of like the pharmacy, but that would kind of clash with Chi-Chi's role. And then I thought, okay, maybe she just works in the Qixing, but now they're saying her superior is Zhongli? Which would suggest that she works at Wanmin Restaurant. I really haven't, like, read any of her character profile. Oh, that doesn't tell you. But like I said, the character just seems like a pretty wholesome one so far. Let's see if this tells us anything. Streetward Rambler's youngest disciple. I don't know who that is. A gentle and caring little adult. Interesting. Oh, hey, Granny. Oh, is that actually who we're talking to?
Oh, it's Master. Is it okay if
I was about to say
that
that kind of explains the hairstyle. I've seen a similar hairstyle. Like, I've been playing Nikke a little bit more recently, and I think it's Yan has something similar. I'd never seen anything that like it prior to Zhongling, but I'm sure it was a thing. Like kind of like a braided bow with your own hair. But now she says her master. I'm so confused. Does she just call everyone master?
Say the sweetest things.
As like a term of like respect?
It is. Visiting friends.
I feel like I'm just missing something really obvious. But like she called... I don't get it.
You're half right, Madam Ping. We were also trying to help out Mr. Dvorak over here. We were on our way to take him to see the Qixing.
To be fair, I guess it kind of makes sense if
Hello,
she isn't
ma'am.
in the Qixing
I
because
am a musician from
she's
Fontaine
a child.
and an organizer of the Iridescence tour.
I don't know
I
what
suppose you've heard of it.
Leo's laws are in employing them, but you know.
Master! The Iridescence Tour is a super famous music festival.
Hmm.
An old lady like me wouldn't know much about that sort of thing. A music festival, you say? It sounds terribly exciting.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I think it's a
right.
good idea.
Madam Ping, how would you feel about that? You're an elder of Liyue, and you know all about Liyue's cultural traditions. Hearing your thoughts would definitely help us figure out how best to approach it. For example, do you think it might be a bit too modern, or is there any other issue?
That kind of makes sense that it might be a bit of a concern.
Why, not at all. Music pays homage to history and culture, and it can also be
Exactly.
a bridge between different civilizations. Times change, and the music enjoyed by the youngsters of today is no doubt very different from the tunes I was accustomed to in my youth.
Some of these things do echo real life, like
Nevertheless,
EDM and
all
stuff.
fine things
Really
in
enjoy
life
it,
can be
but
appreciated. And so,
talk to your parents and they probably
look
didn't listen to a
forward
whole
to
lot of it in
attendance.
their day.
Hear, hear. I do believe that, my own dear grandmother aside, you are the wisest old lady I've ever met.
goodness gracious, you're all being suspiciously sweet today. Yao Yao.
Who would be
whatever
rude
have
to
you been
Madam
feeding
Ping?
them?
Why is
Master,
oh.
you're in such a
Sometimes the
great
autoplay
mood
just
today.
takes a long time to
You're
go and I'm
even
like,
cracking jokes with
did
the
my
rest
game
of
freeze
us.
or something?
Oh, well, I'm sure you must have plenty to be getting on with, yes? Run along now. Don't let me hold you up.
Thanks, Madam Ping. We'll see you again soon.
Every time I see Madam Ping, though, I can't help but remember the Guoba Stove God event. I mean, you can look up the cutscene, but there was that Guoba Stove God event where we found out, like, the truth of what Guoba was, like the, you know, Stove God, way back when, before he lost all of his power. But they showed that, like, one little cutscene at the end, and there's a character with a spear and gray hair, and I never really got that feeling, but people were saying that could have been Madam Ping when she was younger. I'm really hoping that's a character that's playable. I remember for a long time people thought that that was going to be Fuhua, like the Fuhua-based character, if it wasn't actually Shenhe. Which is still something I've seen people be very divided on. But who knows, honestly. There's so many things that, like, the community's actually been right on. Like, leaks are usually more often than not. I feel like the closer you get to it, like I was talking about with Dea's Kit, they're usually pretty right, especially once the betas come out and everything, because only so much is going to be changed. However, there's other things too. Like, I don't know if people even still remember this, but the original design for a few weeks that people thought was going to be Heizo wasn't Heizo. It was like a character that had like a hat actually reminiscent of Hu Tao's, if I'm remembering correctly. But he had like almost like the cat-eyed design, brown hair, and then we got Heizo, who does have brown hair, but he was wearing like an almost like long black. He reminded me a lot of like a male Hu Tao from Inazuma, unironically. And then the design never ended up being used as far as I can remember. And that could have been a fan design, I don't remember, but I know at some point it was circulating that that was Heizo's design, and it was not.
Please remind them that the
But that was a while
are
ago.
not an excuse to procrastinate their work.
Oh, is she chewing someone out?
Understood, Miss Ganyu. I'll take my leave now.
Very gently. I can't imagine Ganyu being mean to someone even if they're like slacking off. She'll just do their work for them.
What brings you here, Yao Yao?
I've brought all the medicine you asked me to pick for you. Oh, and here's a pack of sweet flower seeds as well. Also,
I think it's cute that she carries around like the little elemental skill thing she uses.
Very good for you. I know you've had a lot to deal with at work recently, but you shouldn't push yourself too hard. If you're not careful, you'll end up falling asleep in the grass again.
Was it the like intro trailer we got for her?
It's like a responsible
With
younger
Chi-Chi waking
sister
her up.
talking to their disorganized older sister.
Don't say that to Ganyu, Paimon. Yeah. Don't listen to Paimon, Ganyu. She says things that are just funny to me just because it's so blunt. It's like a running around and traveling with the child fairy, like anything that comes to her mind she says instantly.
Thank you, but Paimon's criticism is quite valid. I do have a tendency to neglect matters outside of work, and that's something I should improve on. Oh,
That's okay,
my
Ganyu.
apologies. I don't believe we've been introduced.
I feel like when you've lived for as long as the adept I have, priorities probably do change. You know? That would make sense to me at the very least.
What's wrong? Did Paimon go over everything?
Yeah, she looks kind of serious.
It's definitely an ambitious plan. If there's anything you didn't quite catch, Paimon's more than happy to go over it again.
Ganyu might be one of the people though that doesn't like to move away from...
It may be
I was about to say maybe move away from tradition at all,
difficult to
but
make this happen.
looks like maybe something else is going on here.
Well, the Lantern Rite is the most important festival of the year. Our celebrations must not only be visually spectacular, but also appeal to the tastes of Liyue citizens from all
Well, you
walks
never
of
know.
life. The Iridescence Tour is relatively unknown in Liyue. It's difficult to predict how a brand new show will be received.
We don't have to make it like a main event. I know that wouldn't be the best like thing for like Xinyan, but you know, make it like a booth or something if at the very least.
Valid points. I completely understand.
Therefore, we will not replace or cancel any of our pre-existing
Oh,
programs.
there we go, see?
However,
Oh, the final act, that also works. I was gonna say, yeah, just put it as like something extra. It doesn't have to be a main thing. It doesn't have to replace something else. You know, it's a festival. Just give him like a small venue.
On the night of the Lantern Rite. As for the venue,
Oh, when they release all the lanterns. So we might get a cutscene with like Xinyan performing this time instead of... What was it last year? Was it Beidou complimenting like Ningguang's blue dress outfit? Which I do still use. I actually just brought her to Max Ascension.
yes,
Because the past
my
couple of
thoughts precisely.
Spiral Abysses have required a
Now, I
Geo
just
character.
need to take some time to give this
At least for like the boss
proposal some
mechanics,
polish.
and Yongle doesn't
As
really
long as
work
I
for that.
clearly lay out the pros and cons and highlight the key
But Ningguang
points
is a
of the
character I used for a
proposal.
long time. Like
Given
Ningguang,
that King
Keqing,
and the Traveler have both given the idea their blessing,
and Jean are like all
I'm
characters that I used for a
confident
really long
that Jishin
time.
will be sure to give it serious consideration. Mr. Dvorak, I will need to discuss with you the number of musicians who will be coming to Liyue,
Ow.
as well as their catering
Need to
and
stop popping
accommodation
my knuckles, but-
requirements.
Oh, yes, certainly. Let's step to the side and discuss further.
to do. Ganyu's as diligent as ever.
Mm.
I couldn't agree more. Master once said that everyone has things that they are good at and things that they are less good at.
Mm.
So, with that in mind, Ganyu shouldn't feel compelled to become perfect at absolutely everything. I'm good at taking care of people, so that can be left to me.
That's
Wow.
nice.
Hey,
But that's exactly why I thought she was maybe part of
Paimon's getting hungry again.
like the pharmacy, just like another. I know Chi-Chi again isn't like actually a child, but like a child apprentice, you know. But who knows if like Baiju actually needs that help. I've heard that
My backpack's
and I haven't heard any
empty
confirmation
now,
on this
but
one,
if you let me know
but that
what
maybe
you want,
Baiju might be
I can
playable
bring
here
you
pretty
some of
soon.
your
But
favorite dishes next time we meet.
Dendro I think is a really cool
Apart
character in
from
terms of the
lotus
reactions it
flower
has.
crisps, what else do you like?
But for that purpose, Kale,
Anything that's made
Dendro
for
Traveler,
fun.
and Nahida basically serve all the purpose you'll need. I accidentally got Tignari because I lost like the first
Here's what I've
50-50 on him
drafted
as soon
so
as he
far.
became available
Anything else
as
you
a
want to
standard
add?
banner character, but
No, this is excellent. I'm
like
racking
Dendro
my
to me feels like
brains,
an
but I don't
element
think
that you
you've
kind of just
missed
want
a single
applicators
thing.
for. Like outside of
Perfect.
Zhao Animo, I feel like
Then
you
we'll
just want to
leave
be
it
able to
as is.
have
I'll
Sporal
go make an
application.
official copy. Oh, perfect timing. We were just wrapping up our discussion here.
That was fast.
Not at all. Every second counts
Hmm.
for a complex
I was
proposal
gonna say we're
such as
coming up
this.
on the festival, so
I will inform
probably
the
pretty
Qixing
busy.
of this development immediately. Please give me a moment to pass on the message.
Okay.
Yao Yao,
You know,
thank
I'm
you
actually
for
gonna
bringing
turn
my
the volume
herbs.
up just a
I
little
will
bit.
make sure to take them.
Remember to make tea from them first, Ganyu.
Not a whole
You
lot, but
mustn't just chew them raw.
every time I
will.
like, it's weird because like I used to have my sound stuff
Okay,
balanced. I
I
think
should
pretty
be
well,
heading
at least for
back.
me.
If Yo-Yo stays
To a point,
out for
I
too
liked it.
long, Mom and Dad
But
will be
then
worried sick.
I wonder who her parents are.
Everyone, I'm sure
But,
that the music festival will go
then I
off
switched to my new
without a
PC
hitch,
and all of that
so
went out the
don't
window.
worry. And in case I don't
And
see
I
you
don't know why, but
before,
with this PC, every time I
wish you
adjust
all
volume
a
and then I
very
exit the program and
happy
come back to it a few
Lantern
days later, it resets it to 100
Thank
volume
you,
or
Yao
0
Yao. Happy Lantern Rite to you.
and blows out my eardrums.
We should go get dinner together sometime.
Scares me so bad sometimes. Because a lot of times when I'm just doing like my dailies and stuff throughout the week, I just play Genshin on mute. But then like today I went to go readjust my sound settings and for some reason instead of whatever it was at before, it went straight back to 100. And that starting like oohing sound that they do on the opening screen scared the crud out of me. Like I almost wish I was just streaming when I opened the game just because it scared me so bad.
Greetings, Traveler, Paimon, and Mr. Dvorak. Call me Kuching. Ganyu has brought me up to speed on everything. I'll get straight to the point. The Qixing have
Wonder if
approved
Kuching and
Ganyu's
Ningguang gonna
proposal.
wear their like outfits
Over the
this
next few
event.
days, I will be
'Cause the
working
outfits
with
we
Mr.
got
Dvorak on behalf of the Qixing to
just this
facilitate
patch for
the
like the
organization
Ayaka
of this
one and
concert.
Yay! That's awesome!
I'm trying to remember who the other outfit was for, because there's usually a paid 5-star one and then a one that you can get for free through an event for a 4-star character.
Please. The Qixing have a duty to deal with matters such as these. We have merely moved things forward to the next step. On a more personal note, I am an avid supporter of all things new and innovative. As
Yeah,
such,
actually,
it is
now
my
that I think about
privilege
that.
to work with you on this exciting project.
Thank you so much, Kuching. I'd become quite discouraged after our recent failures and was expecting the same outcome once again, so I didn't dare to get my hopes up.
That just makes me kind
Never
of
in
sad.
my wildest dreams could I have imagined this going so smoothly. It's like a dream come true. Right. Time for me to call in the performers. To stage a concert at a high-profile event like this is a rare opportunity. We'll make sure it's a night to remember.
Yes! Our music band's finally getting fired up!
Yes, indeed.
I wonder
know
if he's gonna
exactly
perform
what I'm
himself though.
doing from
You
here.
would assume, but
For a musician, music will always be the language they are most fluent in.
yeah. But it is like speaking a language. You stop doing it, you get less proficient at it. I've been trying to re-practice some of my instruments and stuff that I haven't picked up in a few years, and it's difficult. And I've heard from lots of people, like my mom and one of my sisters are fluent in Korean. My dad and my dad and my brother, sorry, are fluent in Spanish. And I know they've said like when you don't use it for a little bit and then you try to come back and speak it with someone who's say a non-English speaker, it can be really difficult because you miss out on those little intricacies. But I've also heard it is like riding a bike.
Oh, that. Well, that can wait for another time.
Oh,
Oh,
Ganyu? What's wrong?
They told me all about Mr. Dvorak's situation.
Yeah, I wonder
But I was so engrossed in drafting the proposal
if it is
that I
Guizhong,
forgot
then
all about
Ganyu
it.
would know.
Oh, that's quite all right. I
would
don't
assume,
even know
at
what
least.
the person I'm trying to find looks like, so it was always going to be a long shot. Don't worry about me, Ganyu. Your time and energy are
How does she
needed
tell him
elsewhere. I'm
if that
sure
is
you
the case,
already
though?
have
Yeah, she looks
plenty
really
to
sad,
deal with
actually.
between this concert
So I have to
and
wonder,
everything else going on during the
is that it?
Lantern
And then how
Rite.
does she break the news to him?
Thanks. It was just that I had a few initial thoughts when I heard your story.
Hmm.
For instance, I wonder if this lady your ancestor met might have been an Adeptus. What do you think? To tell you the truth, Mr. Dvorak, I am somewhat related to the Adepti myself. I am part human and part Qilin. The Qilin is an illuminated beast. I know how
I'd say the horns
important
might give
your
it away,
quest
but we
to
do
get
have
in
other
touch with your
characters like, I
roots
don't know,
must be to
Goro
you.
and other nations that
Because
are,
I've been there myself
you know,
before, trying to
similar.
find out where I belonged.
Did you say the Adepti? And you're illuminated beast? Part Qilin? Are you telling me all the rumors of the Liyue Adepti are real? So it's not
That's
just
an interesting
artistic
take on
license?
things. Because like I was saying earlier, I figured that every nation was aware that the Adepti existed, but it kind of makes sense that they might think, oh, it's just a legend. But at the same time, with things like the yokai existing in Inazuma, like Miko's very well known, different
Anyway,
nations might not think
if
it's
you're
that
looking to
crazy.
uncover a lost melody or shine light on a forgotten aspect of Liyue's cultural history, I'm probably not the best person to ask.
Yeah, even if she's been around
But
for a
if
long
it's
time,
person
Ganyu's
you're
probably
looking
always
for,
been engrossed
then
in
I
work.
just might be able to help.
She sent us to Zhongli.
I see.
Yeah.
I think I understand the situation now. In that
That'd
case,
be pretty funny.
Ganyu, shall we divide the work between us?
Yes, that was also my thought.
Great.
I like that these
So
two
Mr.
also get along
Dvorak
as
and I
well.
will concentrate on things here in the city to make sure the concert goes according to plan.
I
In the
think like one
meantime,
thing that
Ganyu will
makes
reach out to
not
our
just
network
gacha
and
games
try
but
to find
games
the
like this
person
with
he's
such a
looking for.
wide variety of characters
How's
that
your
kind of
workload
pop
at
in
the
and out of
moment?
the story
Will you be
super
able to make
cool is
time?
not only like
I can probably
having them
get
but their
through
relationships with
everything
each other.
in 2 days, as long as I don't sleep.
Ganyu.
Wait, what do you mean as long as I don't sleep? Even for
Um.
someone with illuminated beast blood in their veins, working for such an extended period without a break will take its toll on your health.
I have stayed up for like 3.5 days, I think, the longest without sleeping. Back when my insomnia used to be really bad in my
But 3
teens.
moons from the start.
It's not good for you.
He who
And I was not
returns is
working the
he
entire
that
time.
departs. Even I know the importance of maintaining a healthy work-life balance.
Do you?
In that case, 3 days.
Okay.
All right, I can work with that.
If you have the time, would you
I was
join
gonna
me
say,
for
if there's
this
one other
search?
person who's likely to
You're
do
well
something
known to
similar in
many of the
Liyue,
Adepti and respected
probably
among the
Kuching.
people. I'll feel much more at ease with your company.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's meet back here in 3 days.
Okay.
What's this space, Mr.
Are they gonna make us wait 3 days on the clock? Because we can only skip 2 days and it
You're all
always weirds
so
me out a bit when they do that.
helpful and kind.
It makes
I
sense
really-
story-wise, but it's kind
I
of like,
just-
Just
come on.
imagine if we found the Adeptus lady, or one of her descendants, and got them to come to the performance. Wouldn't that be amazing?
The way they're talking about this really makes me sad because I'm so certain that's who they're talking
exactly what
about,
this
and she's
festival's
not
all
still
about.
around.
You're right. Okay.
Maybe they
I'm
pull
gonna
out like
pull out
a
all the stops to make this
crazy
Lantern Rite a true
chain, and it
extravaganza.
was like the human form of
We
Cloud
should
Retainer or
probably get
something if she
going.
has one, but
Mr. Dvorak, could you
I
come
kind
with
of
me to
doubt it.
confirm the site?
to be completely honest.
We're coming to you.
Not to be too pessimistic, but that just doesn't, to me, seem to be the case.
I was wondering, what are your thoughts on music? What does it mean to you?
I love it.
Music.
Yeah, that's one thought process. I think it becomes an essential part of life. I think it's something that can ease your mind and really help you get through the tough times, and during the good times, it just helps elevate them.
Right sometime.
But that's also coming from a
Let's revisit
musician,
this
so...
question after the concert.
But I think music is something that can really move people. Funnily enough, I think almost every musician, myself included, tends to have long periods where they struggle a bit with like their own voice, their own performance. Like I've met some of the best singers I know really don't like listening to their own voices recorded. And I'm far from that good. But yeah, it was interesting. It was really cool though. I think I've mentioned this before. I've been to a semester up at
Byron,
like the
what
best,
is it?
one of the best Midwestern US music programs.
Her Lady Ningguang
before I had to leave for like money reasons. Because it's a lot of money to go through college for a music degree or any degree. But it was just interesting going up there and meeting people going into similar like vocal music programming and their perspective on things like that.
On my own, so I was just on my way to report this incident to Lady Ningguang. But I'm
Strange
worried
melody,
that
huh?
if we don't act right away, we may miss the window of opportunity to take appropriate action.
Why is it a problem if someone's just playing music?
In that case,
Yeah, Kuchin.
Interesting.
You're busy enough as it is. There's a ton of different things in the city that needs your attention. Leave it to us. Don't worry. Whatever it is, we'll definitely be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Well, she will handle it.
Poor Lumina's made that face like 4 times already, and we're only like a tiny bit into this quest.
Thank you. This will be a great help. I will inform Lady Ningguang about the situation. Once it's resolved, please come and find me again at Eugene Terrace and let me know.
Okay.
Will do. And say hi to Ningguang for us.
you have my thanks too. Stay safe and come back as soon as you're finished.
Good luck.
Still wondering, I've been looking at like some noise gates and stuff, but hopefully my fan for my PC isn't coming through. I don't know why. Like my new PC is really, really good. It's not like crazy top of the line, but I spent a good chunk of money on it. And it's up there. The one issue I have is it just, when I'm playing Genshin specifically, the fans get really, really loud. A few other games I've had this issue with. But I don't think it's coming too much through my mic, but every time I stop talking, I see my OBS pick up just a little bit of noise, and I'm like, oh, that's probably the fan. Who knows, though? I've thought about adding a few more fans or something to it, but I don't know how much that'd help. I was wary of doing liquid cooling, just because I've heard that can actually cause other issues.
But Paimon doesn't hear anything. There doesn't seem to be a soul in...
I was just wondering who in
Oh,
their
hey,
right
Yellow.
mind would come out to a place like this. So,
I will say I've saved up
Fancy
enough for
it.
like 3 soft kitties right now. I'm looking to get C1 Yelan hopefully, and Dea.
You nearly gave Paimon a
We'll have to see though. It's one of those situations
you
where
look pretty alive to me.
if I lose my
Can't
soft,
spook you
might
that
lose my
bad.
50-50 on Yelan,
You...
I'd have to consider. But,
Fair enough.
yeah, I like Yelan.
You're here for that too? Saves me a bit of explaining.
Because what I usually do with my overworld team is I run
Come with
Raiden
me.
Eula and
I've already
Kokomi,
reconned the perimeter,
and
so
then
we
I just
should be
run
safe.
any other sub DPS. You can be pretty flexible with it because Raiden Eula provides like, Raiden provides energy recharge, Eula provides the main DPS, Kokomi makes sure nobody ever dies, and so you're free to just kind of use whatever you want. It's not really optimal, I don't think, especially for like Spiral Abyss. That's why I switch out Yelan to my
Stuff by the door is in pretty
Hu
good
Tao team,
condition,
but
though. It can't
who
have
knows?
been too long ago that someone was last living here.
Interesting though. It did say this was part 1 of the Lantern Rite thing this year, so I wonder how many parts there were, because I want to say there were like 4 or 5 in some previous years. But it's been like a year, so, you know.
This place is completely empty. There's nothing valuable left here at all.
Interesting. Alright, Yelan, what are your thoughts on this?
How strange.
Oh, I thought she just
Looks like it's
disappeared.
been looted,
We're standing
except
here
for
and
the
she's not
fact
here. I'm
that
like, did
there's
she just
no
leave?
sign of a
She just
struggle.
goes away. Ignores us.
The bad guys could have sneaked in while the owner was gone.
I will
but
say I love the
how do you
memes about how
explain why the door
Yelan
windows
and
are
Shenhe
intact?
would be like best friends.
Seems you've done a pretty
And we still
thorough
haven't even
inspection.
seen them interact in the
So,
story. It's
any theories on what
possible,
might
I
have
think, with
happened
this
here?
Lantern Rite, but I don't know if Shenhe's gonna make an
You
appearance.
hide some of the
I didn't even know
evidence from
Yelan was
us
going
on
to.
purpose, did you?
Why would I make this more difficult for you? We're on the same side here.
Okay, well... Paimon gives up then. Paimon's got nothing.
What about you? Give up as well? Yep.
Yeah.
It's not obvious at first sight, that's for sure.
Okay, but we're not
To be
detectives,
honest,
Yelan. We don't spend
I was
our...
only able to put it all together
all of our
because
time
some
doing similar
background
stuff.
knowledge about this area. A long time ago, there used to be a group of bandits in the Liyue countryside who would sound a horn every time they were about to raid a village. But it wasn't a rallying cry
Yeah.
to rouse their fellow men.
Okay.
It was a disconcerting tune, meant to intimidate the weak and warn them of their impending doom. To escape with their lives, the villagers would abandon their homes and flee overnight, taking only their most valuable belongings with them. Everything else was left behind. The bandits were eventually brought to justice, but the fear and trauma remained in the
Is that what
villagers'
this melody is
hearts.
supposed to be, though?
Whenever
Because
they heard that melody, they would feel like their lives were in danger once again, and flee immediately. The culprit of this crime exploited that very fear to get access to this house without having to
almost
force
like a
their way in.
Pavlov-like reaction with the dogs and the bell.
That's quite the story.
The victims obviously will have gotten quite a fright, but at least they won't be in any great danger. The important thing now is to find this copycat criminal. On any other day, that'd probably be a good idea.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, it's not gonna work today. Take a look around and you'll see what I mean. This criminal is clearly well-versed both in using music to commit crimes and in making a clean getaway. Not only did they stay off the muddy road to avoid leaving footprints,
Be crazy if it was
it looks like they
Dvorak.
were
I mean, we
also
know it's not
careful to
Jinyan.
bring any gadgets with
Could you
so much
imagine
as
if
a
it was just
trace
straight
of
up
elemental
Dvorak?
energy.
And he just gave us a
Evidently, they were
complete
intent
sob
on
story
keeping
about his
the most
ancestor and everything, and he's really just out here
investigators off
robbing
their
people.
trail. Unfortunately for them,
That being said, if they're
I'm
actually
one of the best
organizing a music
drivers in the
festival, I
business.
doubt that's it.
They're not about to get away with their little scheme on my watch.
Oh, not on Yelan's watch.
So basically, if we want to find the culprit, we just need to follow Yelan.
Yeah, let her do all the work. That's a perfect plan. I like this plan, Paimon. I do wonder, there's so many things though, like her
As
coat
long as you can
supposedly
keep
haven't
up.
been stolen from, I think it was
Since the culprit's
Pantalone
trying
of the
to be
Harbingers.
cautious and low risk,
Wonder if they ever
I'll
meet.
bet they left
Wonder
to
if she'll
an
ever get her
area
other
with some
bracelet back.
vegetation for cover, but not so much that it would slow them down.
I mean, there's just so much potential once we actually meet the Harbingers. I really am curious though, because I don't think all of them will be playable. I've heard many different like sentiments on this,
Here,
quote
look at
unquote
this.
leaks, but
These tracks are superficial, but they definitely didn't occur naturally. Something heavy was being dragged this way, meaning we're headed in the right direction. Huh. Their pace has increased. Normally, people carrying a heavy load slow down as their journey goes on and they start to tire.
yeah, that makes sense.
Whatever's motivating them to speed up must be psychological. For instance, reaching the home stretch.
You realize you're about to get away. Gotta get out there. Although, at this point, do they know they're being pursued? Maybe they're just, I don't know, forced on by their own guilt. Because they are stealing. It's kind of crazy, though, that they talk about how it's like, I wonder how long ago the whole bandit story thing with the horn was.
A treasure hoarder tent.
Oh, it makes sense if it's treasure hoarders.
Hoarders again. And so
But,
close to Lantern Rite, too.
I just wonder how long ago it
Not
was.
the season for their antics.
Because at
Come
some
on,
point, if it was like your
let's round them up.
grandparents, the current generation at that point wouldn't really know about the whole horn and everything, you know? Anyways, time to go beat up some more treasure hoarders. I feel like they're everywhere, but we definitely see them the most in Liyue. Don't know if that's just me, though. Hello?
Hey! Who are you? Where did you come from?
Jeez.
The evidence is conclusive. Okay, confess and we'll go easy on you. My patience is running low, so why don't
Well, I
you
thought
do
there's
us
literally
both a
always
favor?
someone trying to steal something
You're
at festivals
kidding
like
me.
this in Genshin.
You think I'm scared of you?
Perhaps not, but you should be.
Yeah, if Yelan... Oh, it just gives you trial Yelan. Yeah.
Quietly now.
She does have 2 charges on her E. I always wonder, I think they give you C3, yeah. Man, if only I just was a super, super rich man, though. I spend more money than I probably should on games like Genshin, but... yeah. I just always wonder. Because I've looked at some of these characters' constellations. Like, I'm trying to go for C1, just because I think this is the C1 for Shenhe, Yelan, and I want to say Xiao as well. But having an additional charge on her E as someone who plays Yelan all the time would be huge. But, that's interesting. So when her ult does an extra coordinated attack, that's an extra 14% of her max HP, which is pretty hefty. when you consider that she's largely used for her E and R, and she has a ton of max HP usually. Extra level on ult. Oh, interesting. Increases all party members' HP by 10% for 25 seconds for each opponent marked by E when it explodes, up to 40%. That's insane with some characters. You put that in a full-on HP scaling team like maybe with Nilo, because Nilo can only be with Dendro or Hydro characters to be maximum effective. That'd be insane. Extra level on E. And like, this is the crazy one. I've heard that so many C6 characters completely change how the character works. Like, I've heard that Zhongli C6, people meme about it, makes him a healer. But the idea of like her using ult and then getting the mastermind state and getting all of her breakthrough barbs, that's insane. Like, I was just thinking about that, and it's like her quick little charge attack when she's out of combat is really powerful. Just being able to shoot 5 of those after ult also changes how she plays, because most of the time in like a Hu Tao comp, you just use her for E, sometimes the quick charge attack, but usually it's E and then ult rotation. I use Inspiral Abyss. And then you kind of tag her out right after using Burst to tag into your main DPS. So if she's able to just stay on the field and do that, kind of crazy. I've also thought about getting her bow, but I don't really have the wishes to guarantee that I got C1, her bow, and Dea. In fact, weapon banner is usually pretty rough.
Wait for that. I've come this far, I might as well finish the
Oh
job.
my gosh.
I surrender! I surrender, please! I'll do whatever you say. Please have mercy.
As lighthearted as Genshin often is, we know
Tell
people
us
just get straight up murked in Genshin.
One chance.
I mean, people
And
always
I'm
talk about
warning you.
Kazuha's friend.
Don't make me ask twice.
I won't, I swear.
Jeez, that is terrifying.
You know, so Lantern Rite's nearly here, and like a lot of people, I wanted to buy a few nice things. I know I'm with the treasure hoarders and everything, but I don't really have any kind of experience with robbing people and whatnot. So
I figured this probably wasn't the actual
don't have the guts
culprit,
to
but
break into somebody's house.
Yalen looked at the goods and
you really
seemed like
going to
thought that was
complain
it.
to us about that?
No, not at all. I'm
Jeez.
just telling it how it is.
Okay. Continue.
I racked my brains trying to think of what I could do. And eventually, I remembered something from back when I was a kid.
Oh, it was
The
then.
bandits
Never
would
mind.
blow their horn,
I'm dumb.
and my grandma would grab us kids and run. I remember the tune, so I figured I'd try it for myself. I mean, just to see what would happen. At first, anyway, I
Yeah.
seriously didn't expect
He's giving
that
us a
family
sob
to
story
pack up
about
and
how
leave.
he like needs to
But
buy
they did,
something for Lantern
and they
Rite,
just
probably
left
for
all
people
their
he cares
stuff
about.
right there for the taking.
So he went and tricked like an
It was
entire
too
family
easy.
of
I
leaving
just-
their house right before the Lantern Rite.
Couldn't resist.
It's crazy.
It was completely wrong of me. I know that now.
Hmm.
I'll return everything that I took. It's all still in perfect condition, and it'll be like it was never gone. Please, give me a chance, huh? Let me make it right.
Give you a chance, huh? Sounds to me like you'd rather strike some kind of a deal than spend Lantern Rite behind bars.
Yes? Yes?
Yelan's one of those characters
You
that I would
know how to
hate to be
bargain, I'll
interrogated
give you
by.
that.
It'd be scary.
It's just a pity that you didn't confess. at
Not
the
even for
first
like a
opportunity.
threatening thing. I mean, she's obviously
You'll
being
have to
like,
take a walk with me.
there's like threatening
Once we've
undertones to
returned
it,
the
but still.
goods, we'll find the owner of the house, and you can apologize to them in person. After that, I'll escort you to the Ministry of Civil Affairs.
And you're gonna spend Lantern Rite behind bars
Yes,
anyways.
You know, as a former victim of this kind of crime yourself, I doubt anyone understands the fear you inflicted quite as well as
Yeah.
you do. Does your greed matter more to you than your fear? More to the point, if you can play a tune from memory, don't
That
you think
too?
you should be capable of making
Genuinely.
an honest living?
Not just from memory, but like
You mean-
transposing or something off of like just sound. Like, I think as a musician, it's pretty easy to like
That's
say,
enough hint
listen
for
to a
you.
song and match pitch.
You'll have plenty of time to
People always
reflect
put a
on
whole
all
lot of
this
emphasis on like
yourself.
perfect pitch. I don't think I
There's not
have it
much left to
anymore, but
wrap
like
up, so I'll take it from
that's
here.
one thing. But then being able to
Guess
like
this
say,
is
okay,
where
this
I'll
is
say
this
goodbye.
note, this note, this note is hard, and that's something that's a little bit harder with instruments. For example, if I heard a flute tone, like the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 flute song, I've been trying to learn. It would take me a long time to just think, okay, it's this note, and then I'd probably have to write it down. I wouldn't just remember it by memory.
What is it? Is there something else?
I'm still not sure how you first got your hands on this information.
Oh,
So
okay.
play it safe when you get back. Don't mention to anyone that you
I
ran
really
into
do
me
wonder
out
how
here.
many people know like who Yelan is and what she does in
You helped a
Liyue.
lot with the investigation and
Oh.
arrest anyway, so it's perfectly fair for you to get all the credit. Just take it. It works better for me too.
Like, she tries to keep her notoriety in Liyue down for sure.
And happy Lantern Rite.
Because she tends to take on, like, pretty covert affairs.
Such a pro
And
at
yet,
this. With her taking it from
yeah.
here, it's as good as resolved.
It's like you'd think at some point people would know.
Random event, a
You know, the
strange
blue-haired
melody,
lady comes up
complete.
to you, starts speaking to you,
Although,
like,
it's kind of a shame that we never got
the way
that
she does,
treasure
you'd think at
hoard
least
guy to play
rumors
the
would go
melody
around.
again. 'Cause Paimon's curious, that's why. It's like when you have a tune stuck in your head, but you don't even know what it is. It's
yeah, you'd
driving
play it and then
Paimon
everyone in
crazy.
the area would freak
When
out
we
and
were
leave.
chatting with Mr. Dvorak, music seems like such a positive thing. And most music is, right?
Yeah.
It can help us relax, feel all warm and fuzzy.
Well, there's
recall
also the
happy
type of music that
memories,
brings
or
back, like,
even just
nostalgia or
think happy
tears.
thoughts.
Music can really move
I would
people.
never imagine that music could be used to commit crimes.
I mean, to be fair, and I'm not, like, saying it, I know this is gonna sound bad, but just about anything can be used to commit crimes. Yeah, I was gonna say it all comes down to the intention,
Oh, really?
the will of the user.
Huh. Makes sense. Paimon's musical understanding improves again. Well,
Right.
anyway, now that everything's resolved, let's get back to Liyue Harbor. Byron's still waiting
What?
for us with our random event rewards.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that line. Oop, wrong button. Alright. Back to Eugene Terrace. It's not like it's far, but I've always wondered why they never put a warp point right in, like, by where this stuff is. Because you can just jump down from here. But, yeah. That I always thought it was weird that the Jade Chamber is all the way over here. I always got the impression that it was directly over, like, the main part of the Qixing space. And then you look at it and it's actually a ways over. And I do always have to wonder what the scale is to things, because, again, like, I can't imagine, like, the largest country in Teyvat Liyue you can cross in, like, on foot, probably in, like, 10 minutes. You know, they talk about it being a several days journey. So, how does it scale then?
Great news.
Because
Though
if it's
please wait
kind of
here a
like
moment
that,
if
then
you
on the
would be so
map, I mean,
kind.
that would either mean
Lady
that
Ningguang
the G Chamber's
instructed me to advise
massive,
her upon your return.
or it's really far away from Liyue Harbor. There's Ningguang.
My
So let's we have to
greetings
meet
both
Hu
of
Tao.
you.
We know Hu Tao's going to be
Long
here because she was
time no
mentioned by
see.
Zhongli. Trying to think. I would be surprised if we saw Zhao. Don't know about Shenhe. Haven't seen Beidou yet.
Super busy with all the preparations for Lantern Rite. Don't mind us.
Hmm.
On the contrary, I think it is those that I have known longest to whom I should extend the greatest
Oh, okay.
courtesies. Alas, on a different day, I would invite both of you inside for some tea and a brief respite from your travels. But you're quite right. Trivial matters aside, there's no escaping the fact that we have
Okay,
a grand
so they're going
concert
along
to
with it.
organize.
That's neat.
Once the performance itself is over, we'll then need to invite the representatives of the
Hmm.
Iridescence Tour for a discussion on future collaboration opportunities. The financing arrangements alone could well
I do
entail
think
new
Ningguang has
rounds
Liyue's
of
best
discussion.
interests at heart, but I was like, yeah, it probably
Simply
would be
put,
pretty
There will
lucrative.
always be work to do.
Hmm.
Whoa, you're already thinking that far
I actually
ahead?
would not want to live in Liyue though, because I feel like
Well, we can discuss more current
you'd just be
affairs
working
if
all
you
the time no matter who you're
prefer.
with.
I trust you saw this
It'd be kind
year's
of fun to be on
Ming
like
Xiao lantern at
Beidou's
the
crew,
docks
but if
when
you work in like
arrived
the
at city.
harbor or the
Yeah,
Qixing, it
it
just
looks
feels like
like
you'd be working 24/7.
Which Adeptus is it modeled on this time?
Is it Cloud
Sea
Retainer?
Gazer.
Oh, Seas Gazer.
I believe
Okay.
you're familiar with the name.
I guess Cloud Retainer isn't really a
Legend holds
goose.
that he was free-spirited and
But-
easygoing. People described him
Jeez.
as a cheerful soul and a loyal friend.
Hmm.
On
I
this
can't remember, but
marvelous
we'll
Lantern
play
Rite,
along.
We pray that the following
The other
heroes may
option
be
was I
guided
can't
home.
remember, but
If the sound of music can flow like the rivers and streams
Ah,
into
what's a white
every
lie every
quarter
now
of
and
the
then.
land, perhaps the souls of those who have gone before us will hear the song of a new era.
Hmm.
I wonder whether the melodies will be to their liking.
Oh, they're gonna love them. I'm sure of it. At least,
Hmm.
if the guy you mentioned is anything to go by, the Adepti and Heroes of the Past sound like a positive and free-spirited, cheerful bunch.
Yeah.
They're sure to be open to new music.
Well, let's hope so.
it'll
I
be
heard that you'll
fine.
going on a search with
What's the worst
Songyear
that they
to
can
find
do?
the descendants of a
We've already had what,
really
Osile
infamous
and then
Valentine
Beisht
legend.
try and
I'm
destroy
sure
the
this
harbor,
quest to uncover the
what are
truth
they gonna
behind an
do?
ancient
Try and
story will
destroy the
turn into
harbor
a
over us adding a
most
music
charming
festival?
tale. Do share it with me, won't you? I couldn't bear to miss out.
I'm 100% certain that this has to be the one that, what's his name's talking about. I'm so certain that it has to be the background that we're gonna get on, Zhongli's old friend, Guizhong, because that's one character that they really haven't elaborated on, and I was so certain they would eventually. I know the communities wanted to know more about her. But there's so many other characters too that could be the case with, like, oh, that was pretty. But like, Makoto, you know? Oh, looks like we have side quests then. But, who is that? So I'd assume we just have 4 quick side quests to do here. Help everyone out. Let's go ahead and just do them in order. I'm surprised that... So one of them is Yunjin, one of them's Yaya, one of them's Yelan, and then I don't know who. The 3 Y characters from Leela. But... what did that say? Wait until... oh my gosh. Talk to Tian. Oh, okay. I'm curious. Yeah, I hadn't even seen this screen. I tried not to start the quest. I don't know if I'm going to do Al-Haytham's character quest on stream. But one thing I always do, and then immediately facepalm and regret it, is I always, like, open the quest with a key, because I'm like, then I can stock up the keys that we won't ever need, because you only need to use, like, 2 every other patch. But his quest, I mean, it was literally just a few people complaining about him being the new acting Grand Sage. Which I don't even think is a position he wants. I think he's happy to be the scribe. But it was like, I teleported to the area where you accept the weeklies for Sumeru, and it immediately started a cutscene after I unlocked, and I was like, well, this is why I don't do this. That being said, though, I really don't think... I don't know, I liked Al-Haytham, but like I was saying, it's kind of the same thing as Sino. I just don't think I would roll on the character. People made lots of jokes about, like, Sino's character being a 5-star version of Razor, but I don't play Razor, you know? Interesting. This isn't, I mean, I feel like we've seen the generic adventure design before. We'll probably just try and speed through this. Get back to the actual main story. I think it was saying that we could just start the second part of the Lantern Rite too, so maybe we'll do that. Climbing, wind gliding. Don't tell that to Amber. Mountain climbers and fireworks. A new racing challenge. Oh, okay. Oh, you know, this is probably just the, why I say just. But, like, these 4 things might just be the, like, mini-games that you do to earn Primo Gems and stuff throughout the event. In which case we might just continue the main story if it'll let us. These little mini-games are pretty fun, but I don't think I could dedicate, like, an entire stream to them like I did with Windtrace. Which I did actually have a surprising amount of fun with that. I did play a few more for my dailies and stuff after. Yeah, that's what this is. I did play a few more for dailies and whatnot after that stream. And I felt so bad. I ran into a Wanderer who was lagging so bad that I actually lost that match. I was playing Hunter. But he lagged so hard that I was standing on top of him for like 30 seconds spamming my catch thing and it wasn't catching him. And then he took the, when they dropped like the favor at 1.5 minutes, that usually basically guarantees you'll catch at least 1 person after that. He skipped like 1.5 screens across my field of view into it, and I was like, oh, I'm not getting that anymore. But anyway, yeah, let's just continue on the main quest. I'm not too worried about this stuff. Maybe we'll go over it. I thought it was going to be full on, like, side quest for... Are there only 2 parts? I wonder. But I thought it was going to be like a full-on side quest thing. 8 to 10 o'clock, 2 days later. Okay. Day after tomorrow, 8 to 10 o'clock. I've always wondered, too, I don't know how fast the time actually passes in Genshin. I'm sure there's, like, an official rate. But if I was just messing around for too long, would it just straight up... Would it just straight up close the quest again and I'd have to wait again between 8 to 10 o'clock? Never tried it. Because I think what it does is just once you skip that amount of time, it just starts the quest. And then it's no longer an issue.
Time for us to meet up with Ganyu. Let's head to Eugene Terrace.
Yeah, I purposely tried to avoid, like, every time a new Genshin patch comes out, I didn't think there was supposed to be a story quest. I still, again, have no idea what this is. I think it's just exploring the new area, kind of like how in Inazuma, we started out with just kind of the core islands, and then later on we got this one. That's what I'm assuming it's more like, but I have no idea if I'll do that on stream. Golden Slumber I considered doing on stream, but world quests for me are just really boring after the Arnara quest. Because the Arnara quest has some really fun moments, but that quest took, like, a really ungodly amount of time. And outside of a few short moments, I think streaming that quest would have been really boring. But I always talk about how I feel like there's not a whole lot of content to stream on Genshin. And then there's stuff like that. Hi, Ganyu. Did you get some sleep?
Greetings, traveler in Paimon. What time is it?
Ganyu just falls into the category of Genshin characters I just like to give a hug. I always feel really bad for her.
I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Let's discuss the matter at hand. Since last time, I've been thinking a lot about the story Paimon told me. In essence, someone rescued a drowning man and performed some music. If that were all there was to it, it could have been many people, human or Adeptus. But the tune was allegedly so wonderful that the
I was gonna say, it
forgot
almost reminded
about
me of like a
everything else,
siren, but I doubted
even
that
his
was
own
it.
impending death, and only came to his senses after being brought to shore. Perhaps there was
That's
an
honestly
adeptal
kinda scary.
power at work in that music that he, as a mortal, could not perceive. Or perhaps he sensed a power surrounding him but lacked the words to describe it, not knowing where it came from. Either way, if this part of the story is true, then the rescuer has to have been an Adeptus.
You really think
It is very possible.
This story is all the way from Fontaine. Isn't this a bit of a long shot?
I don't think so. It's Teyvat.
Really
It's not like it's the real world.
People from Fontaine think this fairy lady
Lots of crazy things could have happened. I don't think I've ever heard of a... Well, no, actually. As I was immediately saying that, I could think of a ton of fairy characters in games and stuff that have horns. But I would imagine wings.
Ooh,
That'd be the first thing that kind of comes to my mind.
That would be pretty cool. But Paimon definitely can't imagine any of the Adepti
What do you
looking
mean?
like that.
Cloud Retainer has wings. Cloud Retainer is also a bird.
If you had to save a
But she
drowning
does have wings.
person, how would you go about it?
I'd yell at them.
Huh?
I can't swim. Get out of the water. You'll be great.
Well,
Oh my gosh.
I'd get them to the shore, and then I'd probably
Oh, poor
hide
Ganyu.
behind a tree and watch them for a while. Once I was sure that they were going to be okay, I'd slip away without a sound.
It's time to embarrass Ganyu.
Got it. So basically, Ganyu's the type of person who doesn't like taking credit for her good deeds.
No, it's not like that. I'm just not very good at explaining things.
It's kind of funny because the
I
first time we
also
really
find
met
it
her,
really
she said
awkward
go to the
accepting
Jade
other
Chamber and meet
people's
Ningguang, and then didn't tell us how to get there.
What if this Adeptus in the story has a similar attitude? That would explain
Oh
why
my
she just
gosh.
left without saying a word.
Yeah, there's just this giant floating island in the sky.
thinking
The leader of
something
Leo wants to meet you. Have fun.
One was merely passing by and saw fit to address this egregious
Jeez.
disruption to one's graceful zithering at once. You may keep your thanks to
I have to
yourself.
imagine that Paimon's voice actor is one of the ones that has the most fun.
That was actually a very
honestly.
good impression of Cloud Retainer, Paimon. As far as I'm aware, Cloud Retainer isn't the most musically gifted. Still, we can't completely rule her out just yet.
We're throwing shots at Cloud
If
Retainer.
we set off
Ganyu's
now,
still holding a
we could
grudge
head
over
to
her
Mount
telling us how she
Outside
was
and
like
ask her
a
about it.
round child
You'll
that
be
rolled
able
down
to
the
confirm
mountain.
either way if it's her, and I can, I've been in Lea Harbor for so long now that I'm just not as familiar with the Adepti anymore.
Okay.
If there's anything we want to know about them, she's the best person to ask.
Sounds great! And we're pretty close with Cloud Retainer by now, so we probably don't even need to bring her food this time,
Oh
right?
yeah, we've got this legendary
I've
like
prepared a
otherworld
gift for her to
Adepti.
mark the festival.
Yeah, I was supposed.
Just in
We
case.
usually are supposed to bring them like a famous
However-
gift for respect, but we're not going to.
Cloud Retainer spends most of her days studying mechanisms in her abode. she's on her own so much of the time that the moment she has someone to chat with, she
tells us
Never
Ganya's
mind.
baby stories.
I promised I'd help Mr. Dvorak, and now that I've made the contract, I can't be having second thoughts. Traveler, Paimon, let's set off for Cloud Retainer's
Ganya's one of
abode.
the characters though that it's crazy easy to forget that she fought in like a huge war way back when. You know?
She's made up her mind now. Paimon gets why she'd be so anxious. If Cloud Retainer tries to start telling stories about her again this year, we should pipe up and change
Are you
the
telling me you don't
topic.
want to hear Ganyu
Did
stories?
you leave already? Hey, Ganyu, wait up!
Feel like it's meeting like a proud parent and they're just telling really embarrassing stories. Single harmony for an irreplaceable soul. I will say the one thing that I've done recently though, thinking back on like, sorry, my mind jumps tracks all the time, but talking about like how I was surprised there wasn't a warp point right here, the one journey that's been driving me insane is going from here to the Aeon Blight Drake. I'm trying to remember too, I'm pretty sure there has to be a new boss, maybe a new domain in this area. But I was looking at the materials you need to farm for Dea, and I think she actually requires the same Ascension materials as Alhaitham, which is something you have to find in a new area, so I probably do need to start exploring that pretty soon. I've just procrastinated, because I've been working until like 6 every day for the past week, so I've been pretty tired. I'd love to stream more on the weekdays, but at the moment I am trying to save money, potentially get back into college, so it's a little bit rough trying to just spend all that time on during the weekdays. In fact, I wanted to stream yesterday, but I ended up playing some games with some friends, which was actually really nice. I hadn't talked to a bunch of them for a few months, been out of touch of like the Discord, and it's actually been really fun. I know I drive them insane with like puns and stuff, but it's been good
I
times.
can't believe it. Cloud Retainer is not here.
Huh?
Just remember,
You miss her?
I was so mad. Hold on, let me pull it up. I can't remember exactly what I said. I had a friend who loved the banter a little bit. But I said something about his icon, and he said it's from an old Macross show. And my immediate response is, I'm gonna lay my schlong Macross for it. Cracked me up, so he was so... He did not think it was as funny as I did, but...
So in the past, it's always been the other Adepti who come to visit her during the festivals.
Oh my gosh. It's the fact too that you look at this Discord page. I'm not gonna show it. I don't want to dox my friend's Discord. But like the fact that you looked at and he immediately stops responding to me after I made that pun.
True. Now that I think about it,
Oh,
Cloud
jeez.
Retainer would be quite capable of taking care of anything on her own. There's no need to worry about her. Since she's not here,
Okay.
I guess the next step is to check
Well,
all
last,
the other Adepti abodes. One
Yeah,
by
last
one.
festival, the three like big Adepti, was it like Moon Chaser or Moon
A lot
Carver?
more traveling.
The three that we meet during the main story all kind of got together, like a friends gathering.
Got it! Paimon has a great idea!
Please go on, Paimon.
Our goal here is to find the Adeptus that helped Dvorak's
Yeah.
ancestor, right?
Yeah,
We
strongly.
can't hear any music right now, but...
That's who I would have
if
asked
she's
immediately,
really
but
as nice as the story suggests, she definitely
That's a
can't help
terrible
anyone
plan,
who's
Paimon.
drowning, right?
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
I think that's fair to say.
Well, we're gonna drown
All
Pi-
we have to
Oh,
do is get the traveler to pretend to fall into the water, and the Adeptus will come to the rescue.
yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, I'm not gonna drown Ganyu on purpose. I actually can't swim in real life. Oh. To be fair, Paimon, you have experience. Wasn't it like way back at the start of the game we rescued Paimon by like fishing her out of the lake?
You know
That's how they were supposed to have met?
Paimon can't swim. Paimon would sink like a rock.
We sink like a rock. When we run out of stamina, we just die.
Yes, Paimon! The water's pretty deep over there. Quick, swim to the very center.
We're actually doing this, huh? Why are we listening to Paimon's ideas? If this actually worked, I would be stunned. Hey, look, it's fish. This does not seem like the center of the pool. I love how you look at the map and it's like
If
all the way
only
over here.
there was a
10 out of 10. Is it actually gonna work? No way.
What is going on?
Oh, it's Zhao. Oh, it's Zhao and Shenna, so she does show up.
How do you feel right now?
Good job, Paimon. Now the two people who are like constantly worried about us come to save us all the time think we were actually drowning. Wonderful. And now we're gonna have to explain it to him. That being said, though, it seems like at this rate we might meet just about every Liyue character. That's really cool, because even some of those events, like the Mondstadt, not the Windbloom Festival, but the one where they were talking about how the Animal God returned and whatnot. I don't think we've met every single Mondstadt character there. Though that was really cool. I thought it was really cool that they mentioned Varka. I think Mika actually is supposed to be released at the same time as Dea, but I don't know for certain. The young knight that's supposedly like in Eula's faction but went up with Varka to the expedition. Varka's one of the characters I know people are also really, really hyped about. Like, aside from the Archons, people I know are super excited about potential playable Harbingers in Varka.
Shenhe! And the Conqueror of Demons.
Why don't you say something?
It was your idea!
Paimon, explain it. Okay, fine. Paimon will explain.
And this is all from the fact, too, that we could have just, like, asked the Adepti if they knew who it was.
And playing music. But if the Adepti aren't gonna stay home, then how are we supposed to find them?
It wasn't me.
Yeah, so this Adeptus is
Yeah.
most likely a woman.
Not only that, I just remember when I hear that, Zhao saying it wasn't me. I saw a meme once, and it was, if you've ever heard like what's the word, the Titanic song, I think it's My Heart Will Go On, and someone plays it on like a really bad like flute, I can't remember if it's a flute or a recorder, and someone did a meme of that with Zhao.
And I am not an Adeptus, as you both already know, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so this is Paimon's fault. No way Paimon would have suggested this idea if she'd known how awkward this was gonna be.
I mean, I didn't really think about that either. We didn't technically call Zhao's name, but that is really funny.
Glad you're okay. As far as I know, the one you seek is no Yaksha. And one last
Yeah,
thing.
they're not really
Your
alive
actions
anymore.
here caused others a great deal of worry.
Yeah, good going,
Do not
Paimon.
repeat them again in the future.
Sorry, Zhao.
As ever, the Conqueror of Demons comes and goes, just like the wind. Right. I didn't dare to say a word just now. How's
It's okay,
your training
Ganyu.
going, Shenhe? Have you made any plans for Lantern Rite? We could spend it together in Liyue Harbor
Aw.
if you'd like.
Forget Yelan and Shenhe being friends. This seems really wholesome.
Oh, I had planned to spend the festival with Master this year. However,
The human who's basically an
speaking of
Adeptus and the
Clouditator,
half human, half
when did you
Adeptus
see
who's
her last? Earlier this
kind of
morning.
struggling to find her
She
purpose.
set off for Mount Hulao at dawn.
There's
I
one
noticed
artist who does a
she
lot
was
of
using
comics
an
though about the
Adeptus art of some
Yelan
kind to
Shenhe
protect
like
a
relationship
mechanism
thing,
that looked
and they
like
often
a
include
ruler.
like Ganyu. There's like a picture
Maybe it was a
of
gift for Mountain Shaper.
Shenhe taking a picture
I
on
did
I
not
think
inquire.
Dragon Spine,
So we
and
just missed
Ganyu's trying to get like a
her.
picture
Please
with
excuse me
something,
for a moment.
and
I think I'll leave the gift in her abode.
Shenhe just took a picture of
Sure.
Yelan behind
Thank you.
Ganyu. It's pretty funny.
It sounds like Ganyu and Shenhe have gotten a lot closer recently.
Yes. During the summer and winter, I continue to train with Master. In the other months of the year, I have been learning to adapt to human life in Liyue Harbor. Ganyu arranged accommodations for me in the city, and also recommended several work positions for me.
There you go.
But when I tried
I-
to blend in by referring to her
Yeah.
as Miss Ganyu or Lady Ganyu,
Oh, that's fair.
like the others,
Yeah, poor
She says
Shenhe
I
probably is
mustn't
just trying to
dress
blend in.
her
I
like
can't
that.
imagine her Shenhe having an easy time
sometimes
working.
I'm supposed to copy other people.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm not.
poor Shenhe.
It's a little difficult to keep track of everything.
Well, I hope her learning to... yeah, she does get really embarrassed when anyone calls her Lady Ganyu. But I hope she does fit in well. Kind of merging back into Liyue. It's kind of hard to tell what she'd even do, just because she's... I mean, obviously a really strong fighter. She trained as an Adeptus in some sense, but that kind of isn't exactly a fitting job description for most people doing anything in Liyue. And if we put her in like the Qixing, I mean, the first time we met her, she was talking about bashing someone who threatened to mug her head into the ground a bunch of times. Like, I can't imagine with what the Qixing do that'd be a good fit, but...
Oh, is that
who
what
knows?
it is? Noted. So, you came looking for Master today because you wanted to ask her about the Mystery Adeptus.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
That would be correct.
Oh, speaking of that, have you ever heard any music while out training in the mountains?
Music? What is that?
She doesn't even know.
It's...
Hmm.
kinda...
Don't worry, Shenhe. We'll have a music festival at this Lantern Rite. You'll get to see it. It'll be great.
Sound. Or even a terrifying one.
Okay, I'm done. I also left her a note so that she knows where to find us. We won't miss her again.
Yay! That's really helpful. Thanks!
We were just talking about this thing called music. And based on Paimon's description, I do believe I hear it every day. Please follow me.
It's just interesting that Shenhe's meant to represent the type of character that's like, if you had grown up your entire life without knowing these basic things that everyone takes for granted, how would you react? You know? Because if you don't have a word to, like, you might know what it is, but you might not have, like, the official word to match to it, so someone might say music, and you might just think of it as, like, I don't know, the strange sound the wind makes every time somebody does something. Maybe not the best way to put it, but stuff like that I do have to wonder.
This is the place. I enjoy training here to the sound of music.
Seriously though, like, it's that awkward pause on autoplay where I'm like, what are we waiting for? It's only like a second or two, but it's just enough that it gets me.
Oh no! Paimon's got you! Paimon can't hear anything! Oh,
Jeez.
Paimon hasn't gone deaf after all!
My condolences.
You just spoke.
It'd been even funny if we just mouthed the words.
Where is this music?
The faint sound of birdsong. The quiet murmur of the streams.
Oh. That's like an ASMR. Well, maybe not ASMR is the right word. But like,
not the music of which you speak?
I know my grandma used to have like a CD that would be like calming nature sounds and stuff, they call it.
I wasn't quite done with the description. Okay, fine. It's all Paimon's fault. What we're looking for are not the sounds of nature, but melodies played on special instruments.
Oh. And a melody is?
I don't want to embarrass Ganyu, but I'd rather... No offense, Paimon. But as long as it doesn't embarrass Ganyu, I'd rather hear that. Yeah, I figured. Sorry.
Why don't you just sing that one melody Shen has heard before? It'll probably help her to understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, sure. It's a nice little melody.
Oh, was that from the opera that Yunjin sang?
We know now she's in this questline. Like, pretty cool stuff.
It felt like I was transported back to the past. In my mind's eye, I could see the Zhao lanterns lighting up the night sky again. We're all there, raising our glasses and drinking to our heart's content on the Jade Chamber. As I watched Yunjin's performance, I felt a warm sensation in my heart. And as the drink reached my stomach, it went from warm to hot. When you hummed that melody just now, feelings from a
it's really
whole
wholesome
year
to see
ago
like that
came
callback.
right back to me, as strong as they were on that day. So that's the power of music.
Wow, Shenhe.
It's, yeah. I mean, it's just super cool to see things like that echoed in games, though, that I've always thought.
Definitely has the power
Like,
to bring up memories.
I've mentioned this to friends before, but when I hear certain songs that I played super often, like on repeat, when I get super obsessed with a song, sometimes I just play it a bunch of times. But it brings back memories of doing certain things. Like Lost Control by, I think it's Alan Walker.
don't
It's an EDM
remember if
song.
my parents ever
I'm
sang
pretty
any
sure it's Alan
lullabies
Walker.
to me.
I always think of Enter the
I
Gungeon.
know
Doesn't
some
really
local
fit the
folk
you know
songs,
game, but
and a few
still.
other things come to mind too.
Another good example for me is like Dance with the Devil
The
by
songs of the
Breaking
sailors
Benjamin.
down
I
at the
remember
docks.
Death Note.
The little ditties that the vendors call out in front of their beloved
But my mind's
shops.
also always making
The
those like
tunes
little
of folk
unconscious
artists performing
connections.
on the streets? Yes, that's right.
Hmm.
In the past, whenever I heard the sound of those tunes,
Yeah.
I always felt that they were worlds apart from me.
Huh.
Nenny and Leah probably view me as a non-human. And they are right, in the sense that
I think,
never
though,
could
that
connect with humans' artistic
when
expression
she always
and
talks
their
about that, I don't think
sentiments.
that they see her as like lesser or
So
anything
I
like that, or
haven't been able
different
to
even.
integrate into
I think
their
they view her
community
as
and
like
be a
not
part of their
human, but
lives.
I don't want to say like better than them, but Ganyu's like the best of the best, you know?
Only more recently
I remember her
start to
worry about like
realize
the
that
work in
the only barriers
that Ningguang
are
gives her.
ones that I have erected with my imagination.
And the 3 secretaries were
The
struggling
way
to keep
those
up with
melodies
just what
make
she
me
did.
feel isn't all that different from other people after all.
Joys and sorrows.
They're about mundane
It's very
details
poetic.
of everyday existence. Life's ups and downs, joys and sorrows.
Hmm.
Even though we come from different backgrounds and have different stories to tell, when it comes down to the most common things that
Yeah.
we see and experience
Everyone has
around
to get
us
up,
each
everyone
day
has
in
to
the
eat.
city, in
Gotta
that
go to the
sense,
bathroom.
we're all the same.
Trying to think of like those mundane tasks, but
Go, Ganyu! You're really making progress.
it's one of those things I think people tend to accentuate like the differences between each other, but sometimes what you really got to do to see past that is find what you have in common.
Coworkers and bosses, but at the very least,
Hmm.
Kuching and Shenna are your friends now, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am. Technically speaking, we should refer to each other by the conventional forms of address used among fellow disciples. But now that I know what constitutes a friendship,
Hmm.
I do believe we are more friends than co-disciples.
That's really wholesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Once the days are warmer, I would like to host you at my home in the city. Please invite
Oh, she does have a
as
home in
well.
the city.
I've planted many types of flowers.
Hmm.
I'm sure some of them will be to your taste.
You are too kind. I couldn't possibly.
Nonsense. You are my friend. I have cultivated and cared for the flowers just as you taught me. Once you've seen them for yourself, I am sure you can advise me how to do an even
I
better
think gardening
job
is
next
a good
time.
hobby to take up, though.
I will save some for decoration.
Wouldn't have matched that with like Shenhe,
We
but
can feast on the rest.
I think that's what gives depth to like not only characters but like people.
Thank you in
You meet people all the time that you wouldn't think you'd get
Wait,
along with or wouldn't
what
be
is that
into certain
saying
things, and then they are.
If you insist.
Hmm?
Do people say that?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm not completely sure.
She has like the one person that wouldn't also really know. But
Point across. No need to split
Hmm.
hairs. Hyman's more concerned about your idea of a girls' night
eating
out.
flowers.
Eating flowers? Really?
I can really imagine Kuching just sitting there while they're eating flowers next to each other, just like, huh.
Who dares refer to one not by one's adeptus
Oh.
title, but merely as that
Paimon's
illuminated
timing coming back into play here.
Master.
Our greetings, Cloud Retainer.
There it is! The illuminated
He says it again.
double humph. Now she
my
has
gosh.
the gall to use it
Oh.
rather than she.
Don't mess up someone's
Even
pronouns,
after being
Paimon.
chastised once already.
That's a terrible plan.
Barely a moment has passed since we last met, and yet your impertinence has reached new heights. Very well. If you refuse to learn your lesson, one
That's
shall
Cloud
scold
Retainer
you no
saying you're a
further.
lost cause, Paimon.
One has received your message from Ganyu.
Hmm.
On the matter of the Adeptus you seek, one suspects to know their identity.
Okay.
Well, shall one lead the way?
Lead the way?
I still have to complete my training for today.
Okay.
So I will bid farewell to everyone here.
Very well. Await my arrival at once.
What really worries me is that if this is Guizhong that we're talking about, and Cloud Retainer thinks it is as well,
Savory dishes.
yeah, happy Lantern Rite, Shenhe. Have a good
If you
time.
want to release
But
a
if it
shout
really
out
is
there,
her,
come and find us
what worries me
anytime.
is what is she going to take us to a
Thank you,
grave?
everyone. Happy Lantern Rite to you too.
It'd just be sad. Like, Lantern Rite's one of those things that's like, oh, nice. I really like that. if she accidentally awakens any Whopper flowers, it's not like it'll be an issue for Shenhe. But maybe, to be fair, and I was just thinking about that, if it is actually her too, maybe it's a good thing we didn't ask Zhongli. Because the man's always already like kind of sad talking about no one having the memories to share osmanthus wine with. Imagine if we just bring up his old friend. I just bring back those really sad nostalgic memories. Dredge up the past that might be really painful for him. Granted, Zhongli and like osmanthus wine has been memed to death, but it's one of those like actually in the lore. I don't know if that's actually the case. It'd be funny. And I think it'd be cool, like things like that when they make nods to the community. Because some developers do that, some don't. And I think it actually really helps keep games alive. It was. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that wouldn't have maybe been my first guess if I hadn't so recently heard that we get more backstory about her. But
Guizhong is another name of Hagentis, the god of dust. She was extroverted in nature and adored social gatherings and inventions alike.
Interesting.
Long ago, this region was
and yet,
prosperous assembly.
he said when she rescued him, his ancestor way back when, she didn't talk to him.
Home, reserving for us seats around the largest stone table. Sea Gazer would always bring out his latest treasure and place it upon the table. He could be quite the braggart. Though usually a mild-mannered fellow, when it came to those collectibles he was so fond of, he always loved to show them off.
Something you're really interested in? You love to share with your friends.
So that's what
I hope you remember that name. We were just told it like 20 minutes ago. I'd be concerned if you forgot. I'd be concerned if I forgot it.
Once he had brought out the treasure, it would predictably become the center of attention. Neither Guizhong nor one was content to let him just steal the spotlight. So we would then also present our proudest mechanical creations. As Adepti, we were each gifted in our own ways, and naturally proud of our accomplishments in our respective fields of expertise. As a result, one often quarreled with Sea Gazer. His treasures
it's
were
normal
not
to not
even
like
of his own making.
to banter
He
and
just
bicker with your
used
friends
his
a bit.
exploration skills to dig them out of
I
the
think in
ground.
my opinion, and something that I always tell people is that
when
oh
every
jeez.
single one of one's accomplishments
But I
were
think that
crafted by one's own hand.
what it really comes down to in a lot of situations like that is the intent.
Retainer, you are getting competitive
Yeah.
again.
Just
One digresses.
you know.
Regardless, every
Because like if you're arguing with a friend or supposed friend with the intent to like hurt them, no, you know, that's not a good thing. It's just like bantering with people. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
And on others, she'd take one of us by the limb and start uttering the most ridiculous nonsense.
What kind of nonsense?
Anyways, you can say like stop fighting.
No kind of nonsense were we spared. Sometimes
yeah, actually.
Opine, why argue between yourselves when neither of you could ever hope to beat me? Other times, she would make unsolicited suggestions, such as, once you two are done arguing, let's go to the foot of the mountain and grill some meat. She always sought to make everyone happy, and one must say, she had quite the gift for it. No matter what nonsense she said, one never felt bothered or offended.
It's a rare talent, especially in this day and age.
It also helped that she never referred to one as that illuminated bird or lady bird.
That means like, why do I bring Paimon with me half the time?
Come on, get over yourself.
Anyway.
Is it bad too that every time I see Cloud Retainer, my first thought is, I wonder, could Cloud Retainer fly if you like sat on her back and it'd be like a flying mount from like World of Warcraft?
Who would dare snub the Stove God and his wondrous creations? At the sight of him, we would all immediately drop the argument and prepare the table for a night of feasting and drinking. Back then, one was always bothered by how the cups Rex Lapis brought
Square cups, huh?
Square for one's taste.
I don't think I'd actually really care. A cup is a cup, but
from a square cup. Then you are most
You just drink it from the corner.
but that is its own virtue. Even one could never find fault with Marchosius's cooking. As we ate, Guizhong would continue to find topics for conversation, filling the table with humor and laughter.
You know, I know how there's just a hilly trail over here.
Each of those old fossils
We
had
joked
their
about like,
character flaws and points of
oh, Cloud Retainer's gonna go off on a really long
why
rant,
was
but
it
Zhongli
that
does as
whenever
well.
we dined together,
And at least he's not talking about
always
Ganya's baby
had a marvelous
stories.
time?
I think it'd be nice to hear more of them, but
We would drink together from
it's one of those
spot
moments
high in
too.
the
Even if it's not a real
mountains
character, I feel a
until the
little bit
moon
bad.
set and the sun rose, and only then would the
Like I've
banquet
dated
finally
girls that are
come
like,
to an end.
you go hear those stories and they get really
Streetwood
upset.
Rambler would often remain to admire the flowers with Guizhong before returning to her own abode. The glazed lilies were far more abundant back then. Entire fields of them would appear to the eye as a veritable sea of flowers.
Streetward Rambler?
That would be Ping. You probably know her as Madam Ping.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Wait, this is a lovely story.
I was about to ask who that was, but that's interesting because it does suggest, I don't know if it's ever been confirmed if Madam Ping is like an Adeptus.
It was Guizhong.
But if she was alive all the way back then, yeah, I thought she passed a long time ago. How are we gonna break the news to him?
Alas, long has one avoided this place for precisely that reason. The sights here
I'm sorry to bring up such painful memories right before a festival.
evoke much sorrow.
It's one of the reasons why, like, I always say too, I would never want to be immortal.
Moment of mourning with your incessant
These
questions.
types of
No
jeez.
matter, one will share
That
the
type
whole
of thing,
story
like
with
this,
you now.
this exact situation would have to happen to you. And me being me, at least, I would have a really hard time with it. I think anyone would.
Quarreled oft with Guizhong concerning mechanical principles. We each had our ideals, and neither would yield. Under the pretext of a social gathering, one invited the impartial Rex Lapis to judge the quality of our creations.
Impartial, he
But
says.
Rex Lapis declared that Guizhong's obscuro Vopus mechanism was superior.
Oh, she was cute. Is that actually?
No one was too proud to acknowledge it.
Oh, that's
One
Cloud
thought
Retainer.
one knew
Never
that
mind, I was about to
Guizhong
say.
was indeed the
Never
superior
mind, I'm wrong,
talent
but.
of the mechanical
So she does have a
arts.
human form.
As for the story between Guizhong and Streetward Rambler, that begins with a certain bell.
Interesting.
In Guizhong's opinion, while mechanisms
I think the
were
community's
no
gonna freak out about that reveal.
composers, they were yet capable of producing simple but fine melodies. But
Because that means,
Streetward
I mean, people have
Rambler
joked about
believed
Cloud
music to
Retainer
be
maybe
an
being playable, but that really suggests.
An
It was!
emotional
I think that is the
enterprise
character
that
from the
never
Stove God
hoped to be
cutscene then, so maybe it
replicated
was
by
Madam Ping. The community might have been right on that, that's super cool.
until one asked Rex Lapis to intercede.
Unless that's Cloud Retainer and the one with the glasses with Madam Ping. Either way.
Ceremonial use. Thereafter,
Huh.
one would often find them convening in the mountains, discussing music, mechanics,
I'm a little
and all
confused,
the
but
affairs of the
no,
mortal
I think that one's Madam Ping, that's Guizhong, and then the one with glasses has to be Cloud Retainer.
These good times were not to last.
That's super cool.
War broke out
Because it makes you
between
wonder
the
if the other
gods,
two,
and soon
I think it's
engulfed
what,
the
Moon
Guili
Chaser,
plains.
I can never remember.
Guizhong was
Um,
overpowered by the enemy.
And the other one that I can't
fell in
remember the name
battle.
either. Because we see them all
Streetward
less than
Rambler and
Cloud
I
Retainer.
arrived at the scene at long last. All that remained among the ruins was her lifeless body. After this, at Streetward Rambler's request,
That's super cool though.
Rex Lapis
Because I know a
granted
lot of
her the
people theorize
cleansing
that the
bell
character
for
from
safekeeping.
the Stove God cutscene was a younger version of Madam Ping, and that kind of confirms it. I'd have to look at the comparison between the two of them, but that looks like that character. That's super
Many
cool.
Lantern Rites have passed since then. Many greetings and goodbyes.
Huh.
Upon what do you gaze? The Guili Plains?
No. It's everything.
Interesting. But what confuses me too is if Madam Ping's been alive for that
We
long,
think of human life as
and maybe
like
I've got a
lantern
bad
that's
grasp on like the time passing,
lit
but
1 minute and extinguish the next. But are we Adepti so different?
that would suggest that maybe Madam Ping was similar to
Perhaps as
Shenhe,
dust settles after
but
a
I don't know if
storm,
Shenhe's supposed to live an extraordinarily long amount of time either.
return.
It was her though, that's so cool. The issue is that means that we maybe might not get that character as playable.
Always been austere
I don't know
and
how they go about doing that. If
and has never relished
I'm just
socializing.
confused. Because that means that Madame Ping might be way older than we think, but again, that would suggest she's not entirely human.
What? You have lots
Interesting.
of friends, and you seem pretty chatty.
Just because one is not ignorant of social graces does not mean one is fond of them. One is perfectly capable of partaking in conversation despite
Same, actually.
being introverted.
I mean, on stream, I'll ramble a lot, and then with my friends, I'll ramble a lot. With people I don't know, I won't say anything.
She is dauntless but thoughtful.
Yeah, some of my friend group, I mean, the first time they met me when we all worked at, like, a Target, I didn't say anything to anyone, hardly ever for, like, 4 months.
Back when they were rivals, they would often compete against one another in the realm of musical composition. That cleansing bell was one of Gui Zhang's
Oh man, that's
proudest
super
works,
cool. I'm really
ability
hyped
to
up about
both
that because we didn't know who that character was, and I'd wondered for such a long time. And when the community had made that comparison, I was like, that could be it. But
Say she pestered
still.
an old friend for that bell? And she also said something about being a vain beauty when she was young or something.
Streetward Rambler, a vain beauty. My foot.
It's interesting that Cloud Retainer wore glasses.
Bell has a sad history. Clearly, she refrained from sharing with you the truth of its origins. Since the right time,
They just like hit me a straight left hook out of nowhere with this lore bomb. Like I just,
who else could it
it's
be?
one of those things that, yeah, thinking about it, a lot of people have predicted, but I just,
Streetward Rambler heard that a certain
I hadn't been
Jean
completely
Louis
convinced personally.
wished to borrow the bell. She realized that the man was none other
Yeah.
than Rex Lapis, and that he had made an enormous decision.
Yeah, and it has been heavily implied that at the very least the Adeptus are aware by this point that Zhongli is Rex Lapis.
Several millennia. Some things between us are implicitly understood.
For several millennia. But then why is Madame Ping visibly aged and no one else has? Maybe it's like a, oh, what's the character? I mean, there's a lot of anime characters like this, where like, they appear older. There's a character like this from Rosario Vampire. I think it's like Toho Fusai. That like appears very old until he actually has to use his power. That'd be a cool way to do it. Because obviously Madame Ping we never thought was like an ordinary person, but
After the passing
still.
of its creator, it was used on numerous occasions during rites of parting. But Streetward Rambler did not acquire it from Rex Lapis for the purpose of producing further funerary tunes.
Oh,
No.
that's actually
Each
really
time
sad.
she rang it, it was to play the tune that Gui Zhang composed on it. The two once clashed over their beliefs about the meaning of music. Who would have thought that with Gui Zhang's passing and Streetward Rambler's mourning, two tunes composed in discord would eventually become one harmonious composition.
Life has a strange way of playing things out.
Once upon a time, Streetward Rambler also loved gatherings, liquor, and music. But after Gui Zhang passed, she preferred her own company. She could often be found sitting alone at a mountain summit, contemplating and reminiscing with
I'd
her
love to
zither.
hear her play. I wonder if we'll get the chance.
The music would go from mournful to
I think it's really
soothing
cool though
to
that this
impassioned.
Lantern Rite seems to be much more focused around music
And years
thematically
passed before she
than the
finally
previous
composed
ones.
a melody to her satisfaction.
I think it actually makes for a really
In
cool,
celebration, she played
what's
the
the word, like
tune to the
motif
clouds.
they use in music a lot.
Regrettably, one has only ever heard her play that tune once. Which brings one
I mean, they're
back
really
to the
setting her up
matter
to play
you've
it
been
here.
Investigating. Perhaps it was during that performance that the ancestor of your Fontaine friend fell into the
Oh.
water and was saved by
That could be good though, because it means that we might not have to go back and tell him that we can't possibly have him hear that melody.
Why would she only play it once?
Because it probably elicits
One was
really sad
also
memories.
greatly perplexed by this. After suppressing one's curiosity for a long while, one finally approached her and asked why she would retire the tune after having spent
It's like her
so
magnum
long on
opus,
it.
too. You know, don't overplay it.
In response, she said, "Though the strings that played that melody survive, the one who inspired it is gone. Tell me,
Dang.
Cloud Retainer, when the one attuned
It's
to
the
my
musical
soul
version
is
of
no longer here.
to make a
Who
joke.
else
I
could
hate to
hope
make a joke like this.
understand
It's such a
tune?
sad moment, but it's the musical and Madame Ping equivalent of Osmanthus by Stays the same as I remember, but we're those who share the memories.
Once the Archon War came to an end, I stayed behind in Liyue Harbor to honor my contract. Although I met Guizhong a few times, I never knew anything of this particular story.
Guizhong was quite the visionary, but tragically passed before her time.
Yeah.
Her manuscripts still lie unfinished in the realm of clouds.
You know, and I will say,
Blank pages give one cause for contemplation.
I'll wait for her to finish
what
this
might
line.
have been.
I always get in trouble for interrupting people in real life too. I don't mean to, it's just my thoughts race so high that I'm like, oops. But genuinely, one theory, now, I mean, like I said, I wasn't sold on the Madame Ping versus being that character from the cutscene. She was actually wielding a polearm, which is interesting too. But something that people have been saying is they've been making a big comparison between Sandrone of the Harbingers, the puppeteer, and Guizhong's design. That being said, I don't think that'll be the case. I mean, people have also compared Sandrone to like the puppet from Bloodborne, which could be like an apt comparison. Maybe she's like, we know that the Fatui were capable of doing some crazy like power-ups like they did with Scaramouche when they took him in. So it could be something strange like that, but I kind of doubt it. But at this point, who knows? You know, I'm no expert.
Decided to search for that mystery Adeptus. Perhaps these stories too would have been lost to the sands of time.
Maybe.
As of now, you know the truth. That the Adeptus who rescued the drowning man.
She is an
was
Adeptus.
none
Am I
other
just
than
crazy though? I
Strickland
felt like it was never confirmed that she was like. Had anyone ever called her just straight up Madame Ping as an Adeptus? And still, if she is, why does she visibly age? I really have to wonder.
Do you intend to discuss this with her?
I mean, we haven't seen like Cloud retain her human form. If she turned into a human form right now, would she look the same as she did in the cutscene we just got?
Ping might find the topic too distressing?
Precisely.
Yeah.
The passing of our old friend is a heavy topic that both of us are usually careful to avoid.
If I may be so bold, Cloud Retainer, could it be that this is just your own personal opinion?
Oh? How so?
I've been in Liyue Harbor for quite a long time now, and I've witnessed many farewells along the way. So I too am well acquainted with the pain of the passing of a loved one.
Yeah. I mean, she's been living alongside humanity. People who won't live that long.
This doesn't bring the city or its people to a standstill. They have to keep moving forward. Someone as perceptive and wise as Ping will surely have come to understand and embrace this. Though these immortal mountains have lost an Adeptus, the harbor of mortals has gained a wise elder. No loss can ever be undone, but there is always much that can still be gained. Ping has helped countless people, and will guide
She
many
gave us our
others in
teapot.
the years to come. And all
Basically
to
a
whom
second
she
home.
extends a helping hand become her friends. People she can admire flowers and discuss music with. Though it is heartbreaking to lose a kindred spirit, life goes on. Because there are new friends waiting for you further
As
down
sad
the
as
road.
it is, like, people will fall in and out of your life. And it's not always a bad thing. It doesn't always have to be a painful goodbye or, like, an argument. But there are people who, like, in high school, I knew really, really well. And I still care very much for. But I haven't talked to in a few years, you know? It's just kind of how things are. Life sometimes it's just so busy. The world is at once a very small place and a very big place. And it can very much pull us apart and together at the most seemingly random times. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's important to try and remember fond memories properly and enjoy the time that you have.
Why don't we just ask her if she'd like to perform? Maybe we can even
That-
get her up on stage.
Maybe.
You
Yeah.
youngsters
That is
and
for
your
me. I would
imagination.
personally, I wouldn't mind asking her about it for the same reasons
Why
Gon
don't
you
you
just
come
spoke
with
about.
us?
I don't think I'd ask her
It's
to
been a
perform.
long time since you last spoke with Ping. And Liyue Harbor is always decorated so beautifully during the festival period.
Is not every Lantern Rite the same in this
Oh,
regard?
you don't need to be like that. People work really hard
Were
on
there
that.
ever anything new to discuss? One in Pink could meet any day of the year.
I disagree. Each new day and each new year is different from those that have come before. How long will you simply let them pass you by?
Yeah.
The edibles she brought this time.
Yeah, Paimon.
Quite delectable.
We weren't gonna bring her anything because of your suggestion.
Very well.
Right after you scared the crud out of Shenhe and Zhao by making us pretend to drown.
If the other old fossils have sneaked away into the city to amuse themselves, one shall soon find out.
Yeah, because I was gonna think for a second, like, how does she visit Madame Ping if she shows up as a giant Adepti bird?
We don't want to keep
But
her
now we
waiting.
know for certain she has a confirmed human form.
Once the Guili Assembly, now the Guili Plains. Say, if we planted flowers there and cared for them carefully enough, do you think that one day we'd be able to recreate
We'd have to protect
the
them.
sea of glaze lilies?
Allow
Maybe.
one to take back
Oh.
one's praise from a moment prior. You are still far too given to flights of fancy, child.
I mean, we plant glazed lilies in our teapot all the time, Cloud Retainer.
Cloud Retainer?
Aw.
You were still listening?
One observed that you were making no effort to leave, and returned to chasten and hasten
Aw.
you. This time, one is departing.
I mean, Cloud Retainer really is like a parent figure to Shenhe and Ganyu. Even though she's like their quote-unquote master, she's, to me, in my opinion, more of like a parent figure. I feel like that's somewhat inevitable, though, given that we don't know of an actual figure for them. Yeah, like, I gotta say, too, one reason why is Yelan's just such a nice... I saw someone describe it when someone was asking whether or not they should roll on Hu Tower Yelan for the second half of this patch. And even just C0 Yelan. Provides and is such a big enabler. She gives you slightly faster travel time. I mean, it's not that crazy fast, but it's nice. Hers and Sayu's rolls don't require, or skills, don't require stamina. She gives an excellent amount of crowd control because of that off-field DPS. Whereas, like, I love Hu Tao. And Hu Tao's cons are really powerful. Although I also have C1 on her. I probably wouldn't worry about rolling more on her. Like, sure, like, you can increase her damage a whole lot, but still. But I do think it's cool that she has, like, I don't know if that's more like... I compare this abilities like this a lot to, like, League abilities, because League has just been around for such a long time that they have so many champions with different things, but this reminds me a lot of, like, Tryndamere ult or something like that, you know? Or even, like, Spectre, or I think it's Spectre, or maybe Surtur, except Surtur in Arknights does actually retreat once she's hit 1 HP and is alive for, like, another 5 seconds. But for me, I think the only characters that I have above Caesar, I do have quite a few of the 5-star characters because I spend more money on this game than financially I probably should, especially as someone trying to save money and get back into college. But I think the only limited banner 5-stars that I have over C0 on are Yamiko, Raiden, who both of whom I really wanted the C2 on, that's why I did it. And I think it's actually just those two. Obviously, I have the standard banner characters. People always meme about Chi-Chi. The one that I always lose 50-52 is Jean. And I really don't mind. I really like Jean. I don't use her as much anymore. I think as a healer, she's someone outshone by, like, Kokomi. As an Anemo support, she's outshined by Kazuha. But she's still a solid unit. It never hurts to bring her along. Like this, if I ever get C6 Jean, not bad, you know? Just straight up decrease damage by over 1/3. Not too bad. Anyway.
Whoa, Madam Ping and Cloud Retainer.
Why'd you say, whoa, we knew she was coming here?
Made haste after all. One arrived but moments before you.
Which is kind of funny because she can fly. But she did just show up in her bird form.
To what do I owe the honor?
I really want to
Nice
see,
of you all to come and visit me.
like, I wonder if we'll get an explanation why she chooses to stay in the Cloud Retainer form than her human
Said
form.
what, precisely? And why should one be tasked with saying it?
You're her friend. You're the one.
Because you're the one who's
Yeah.
known Madam Ping the longest.
Street word. Or rather, presumably, you would prefer to be addressed
It's kind of funny
as
because that little bit of social awkwardness reminds me, sadly, a bit of me, but also a bit of Shenhe.
You are
Kind of shows like
polite today.
that.
one,
Yeah.
Given that Lantern Rite is almost upon us, the weather in the city is most pleasant, and a sweet floral fragrance lingers in the air. Ganyu, please continue from here.
It is definitely not. It wouldn't be an easy subject to bring up. Ganyu's like, what? Why are you throwing me under the bus?
Alright. So, this all started because we were trying to help Mr. Dvorak find the Adeptus who saved his ancestor's life. Cloud Retainer informed us that the one who played that melody and rescued the drowning man was none other than yourself.
Yep.
Let me think. Yes, I do believe I recall that encounter. What a long time ago that was. I'm surprised that you still remember it. Even more astonishing, perhaps, is the fact that this story has survived this long at all, when mortal lives are so very brief.
Yeah, but if it's something so, like, monumentally impactful to this person's life...
She has herself right, once again.
Yeah. Like, it was impactful enough, though, that they considered it, like, a generational story to pass down.
To call her Guizhong. From the look in Cloud Retainer's eyes, I sense that she has already told you all about her.
Albeit reluctantly, one might add.
There is no harm done. After all, Lantern Rite's very
in some
purpose
sense
is to
too, you know,
commemorate the heroes
maybe
who
it'd be
gave
nice
their
for someone to
lives
talk
for
about that.
Liyue.
There's like
Although
always
Guizhong
multiple
did not
sides
live
of the
to see
coin.
the splendid sights of
I'm
today.
sure dredging up the memories are hard for Madame Ping, but
She was as much a hero.
giving her a chance to
as
talk about
any
it could be really wholesome too.
So, how has she proven herself right again exactly?
Once upon a time, she said to me that humans were a weak form of life that she wished to protect with her wisdom.
Okay.
But as she interacted more and more with them, her opinions on them began to change. She marveled at the beautiful complexity of their spirits, the sheer splendor of all they could accomplish through their hard work and intelligence. She told us that to underestimate human potential would be to make a grave mistake.
Yeah.
With the smallest
And that's how
amount of
Leo has really
guidance,
progressed.
enormous power can be unleashed in them. And a human who has reached their full potential may well be her equal. Someone who could have as much to teach an Adeptus as to learn from them.
She always had a way with words. That her mechanical accomplishments were judged superior to one's own was, one suspects, in
presentation
large
is part of it.
due to her sheer eloquence.
You have someone who's like a salesman. Someone might have a better product, but the better salesman sometimes sells their product more.
Do you still remember that potted plant mechanism? The one that the two of you gave me as a gift?
Of course. Guizhong and one both put an immense amount of effort into that gift. It would be no overstatement to call it a testament to each of our individual technical genius.
As Guizhong once said, it takes every blade of grass and every flower to make a homeland.
Yeah.
When I see the sight of Liyue Harbor before us today, I am reminded of this.
Madame Ping looks very emotional right now.
Yeah, I mean, she's lived a long life.
Of all of
Probably
us,
been through a lot of ups and
it
downs.
was Guizhong who was the fondest of these grand and exciting occasions.
Yeah, Guizhong seemed like a very excitable
If
character.
she was still with us, I'm quite sure she
There's
would
just
still
so
be
many
trying
characters
to
like
best Cloud
Guizhong, especially in
Retainer's
Leo now I
finest
think about it,
works
but like
at every
the
opportunity.
Yaksha as well. It'd be really cool if we got a chance to play them, see them in the present day, but it's not likely. But who knows? I mean, people also talk about like Signora. I mean, everyone thought Signora, and I do still think she's like dead and gone in the story, but they brought her voice actor back during the Wanderer questline. You know? During that interlude, we got at least a little bit of a discussion with her VA, so who knows? I don't know how like contracts with that work, you know? You sign a contract and like you gotta come back and potentially record some
Make
lines,
arrangements right away.
you know, a decade in the future, but
As much
Who
as I
knows?
don't wish to dampen your enthusiasm, it's been a long time since I played this zither. My
Aw.
fingers don't have the dexterity they once did. And whenever I play that tune,
Maybe she gives the sheet music to Jinyon, and Jinyon just plays a
reminds me of her.
different twist on it instead.
I start wondering what she would think of the changes I have made to her melody. There was a period of time whenever I started strumming, it almost felt like she was back again. Sitting right there on the stone stool next to me, chatting away. Skybracer and Seagazer too, looking just
I'm
like
sorry,
they did in
Madam
the old
Ping.
days.
I didn't mean to make you
No matter how
sad.
much time goes by, the moment that melody starts playing, it transports me right back to that time in my memory.
That is exactly what I was talking
So
about,
the
though. Even if it was
past
just
still
like
weighs
games and
heavily on
anime
your
and silly
heart?
stuff like that, like
Well, I would be lying to myself. if
music
I
can really like
claimed
solidify
to have
memories in your mind.
completely moved on. But that is not to say that grief doesn't get easier with time. Despite the sadness, I have found many things that bring
It can be
me
hard to
joy in
move on
life.
sometimes, but even
It
me,
is
like I was
simply
someone
the
who used
nature
to
of the world in which we
still
live
do
that
sometimes, admittedly, but like
even if
when I was a
one
kid,
wished to
I had a
mourn
really,
for
really bad temper.
eternity,
I'd get into fights all the time,
it would
and
be a nigh impossible feat.
there was
Just
some
look
things
at
that
this
would happen
potted plant.
that would like stick in my
Isn't
mind
it
very
stunning?
vividly for a long, long
It
time.
takes an honest and open mind to confront
Maybe I'll tell the
and
stories one day, who
conquer
knows,
grief.
but
You have indeed made
I have some stories
progress.
that still like I can feel it, but the
Be that
frustration and
as it
like
may,
I don't know,
I
rage
shall leave the Lantern Rite
does fade with
stage
time.
to the youth of today.
It's the same with other feelings of grief.
If you're sure.
Yeah.
Granny!
Everyone has to lose a loved one at some point. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit
Whoa.
depressing here, but like
What's everyone doing here?
you know,
Did something bad
it gets better
happen?
with time. You just have to give it time. The
And now
wounds need
we've
time to
spooked
heal.
Yanfei.
Anyway, hi
No,
Yanfei,
no.
how are you?
Everyone's just here to give me their regards.
I think
for
the last time we saw
holiday.
her in the story was when Ito was like super excited over her.
That's wonderful, I'm glad. Well, in that case, happy
Hmm.
Lantern Rite, everyone.
Happy Lantern Rite. Oh, I just remembered
Okay.
that I have some work to do at Yuehai Pavilion that I need to discuss with Yanfei. I haven't been able to find a chance until now. I will leave Mr. Dvorak in
Okay.
your capable hands. Cloud Retainer, Ping, we will be off for now.
One thing that I've always thought really
Does it have
cool.
to be
Oh,
right now? Which case is this again?
she doesn't want to be the one to break the news to him, maybe. But I've always thought it's cool that there's like
Seems
the
Gone
collectibles and
still
stuff
has
still shown in the
much to
background.
learn
That
when it
hill
comes
eater
to
we
the
saw
art of
earlier.
deception.
What a pity. She has learned nothing of one's ability to carry a conversation.
Yeah.
Since it's been so long, Cloud Retainer, why don't you stay? I'll make a cup of tea and we can chat a while.
It's just interesting, like, again, Cloud Retainer kind of has some similarities to me, and like,
intention as
I would have a hard time going out. Like, I don't like reaching out to friends, even though I'd love to hang out with them, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
Please give him my
Those people that I haven't
regards.
talked in a few years,
I'd
like,
to
let's go
wish
get
him the
coffee or
very
lunch or
best
something.
with the concert.
I couldn't be the one to reach out, unfortunately. It'd just be, for me at least, it just, I don't know why.
I think
I
you've
have a hard time
listened
with
to
it.
enough of my nattering for one day. As for that melody, I will play it
Okay.
for you all another time. Goodness knows I need to practice it first.
Wow, that'd be great. We'll look forward to it.
When that time comes,
Okay.
whoever her spirit may be among the countless grains of sand and specks of dust between the harbor and the mountains,
The God of Dust, though, huh?
perhaps she will look at the
Some of those little
mirror
details,
of
though, I
today
don't know if it's ever mentioned that
and
she was
steal a
specifically the God
smile
of
when she
Dust, but
sees the
I don't
prosperous
remember. I'm
land
sure it
that
has, and I
has
just
become.
can't recall.
Alright, let's go tell Mr.
Even if this was
Dvorak
literally
to
the only game I played, which it's not. I've been playing a lot of Arknights recently. Really getting the lore of that game. Those little details, I'm like, oh yeah. Go figure. I was rereading the Commissaires events in Arknights, and so good. I mean, those arcs by themselves could be a story. Neural, Blemishine, Whislash, Platinum. Like, they could make an entire game out of that alone.
Mr. Dvorak!
Hello.
Ah, and Kuchin's here too. Thanks for helping set all of this up. Welcome back. Did everything go well?
In a sense,
Really
yeah.
well. We found the person Mr. Dvorak was looking for.
Are you serious? I see.
Yep.
So the melody my ancestor heard was an adeptus remembering her late friend? That certainly explains why it was such a powerful and poignant tune.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you think about like how beautiful composition can be by people who have like, and performances that have perfected their craft across so many years. I think about someone who's had hundreds, if not thousands, of years to practice.
From the tale is now an elderly granny.
Oh, Paimon knows exactly what you mean.
Exactly. That's what I was so confused about.
But Streetward Rambler, or Madame Ping as we know her,
Oh.
probably only became old because it's
Okay.
what she wanted for herself.
Madame Ping possesses vast
Interesting.
knowledge and great wisdom. Whatever physical form she may decide
I mean, they can
to
obviously choose to have like different forms, like Clouderain or having her current form or human form. I wonder if you can choose your age.
That's exactly what Paimon was trying to say.
I think
Because that would also be an option.
I must thank her in
She can
person.
just decide to be like that original version. That or we get to have actual, just the granny
Now I
form
need to
as a
devote
playable
all
character.
my
That'd be
emotional
interesting.
energy to the performance.
Because we don't have like an elderly character as a playable character. To my knowledge, at least. But I'd be really surprised if, especially with this reveal from this event, Madame Ping or the younger version and Cloud Retainer as well didn't actually become playable characters eventually. They might just be holding off.
Are you serious? Oh no, now I'm starting to get nervous.
You'll be fine. I do understand that performance anxiety though, especially when like people you want to impress are in the crowd.
Please excuse me, everyone.
No, have fun.
Mr. Dvorak? He's already gone.
Dang, it's super cool going back to these older nations though. Like I think Genshin does a really good job with that of not just letting, you know, like at this point we're in Sumeru going into Fontaine, we don't just forget Inazuma, Mondstadt, and Liyue. And that's why I think they haven't released like Baiju and Yao Yao until now and whatnot, because it gives us a reason to come back with events to this area. Super cool stuff.
That music can be used for good, but also for bad. It can make people happy and moved, but it can also be sad and bittersweet. And music is like a kind of memory written in people's hearts. It can put you in touch with
Yeah, I really
feelings from
didn't
a totally
think with
different
this
time
event
and
they'd take
place.
this route, but it really does echo my sentiments a lot on music. Really cool stuff.
It sounds like you had an eventful trip. Don't worry, I'm sure Ganyu will fill me in on all the details shortly.
Wait, does that mean you're gonna carry on working?
Didn't she do that last Lantern Rite? Actually, no, she got her fancy dress and then she came to the Lantern
All the
Rite with us.
groundwork is done. As long as everyone enjoys the festival activities, all our efforts are worthwhile.
That's good.
Happy Lantern Rite to you as well.
There's all these hardworking characters in Genshin, and I'm just sitting here at home like, man, if I could just slack off and get paid to do nothing, I'd never leave my house.
What was it?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it feels like it was a while ago. Shoot! Latent
Oh, right. Bamboozle soup.
fancy bamboo shoots.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Jean-Lee said he wasn't in a hurry, so if we went now, there's probably still time, right? Anyway, even if we don't make it, it's not our fault. He could have totally picked
It's Zhongli. He was never going to do it.
Let's go check with him at Wangcheng Funeral Parlor.
I still just think it's so ironic. Imagine being the literal god of Mora, of money, and just being broke all the time. Poor guy. I still do wonder though, like, what exactly do the Gnosis give power of? Because we now, we know that the Fatui are in possession of the Gnosis of 4 of the Argo, actually 5 including the Tsaritsas. So, you know, do they have the ability to create more? Do they also need the Golden House as like the mint that they use for it? Can they make one of their own? Well, there they are. Yeah, I was gonna say we knew, I still don't know, we'll see. I don't know if I'll do the, not this. These little things on stream, because usually they're just like mini games or something like that that you can earn your primos for. But yeah, I was gonna say we knew Yunjin was gonna show up. This, I think, is meant to be Guizhong. I can't tell. Yelan and Yaoya. So, last kind of group of characters that I can think of that we haven't really seen this event so far. Anyway, hi guys. Oh. She practicing like rapping?
Oh wow, look who it is! Are you here to hang out with everyone's favorite funeral director? So you're
Sure, naturally.
practicing your rapping
Oh, she was rapping?
to your funeral
Jeez.
parlor? In broad daylight?
It's Hu Tao Paimon, does that really... I feel like if there's anyone that shouldn't be surprising for, it's probably Hu Tao.
After everything we've been through, you don't see me for a hot minute, and you're back to being scared of your own shadow. We have all this open space, a clear view of the mountains behind and the sea in front. Not to mention we have several invisible audience members enthusiastically cheering us on. It's the perfect spot to rehearse.
Some of the things Hu Tao says, you just think about and like, this has really dark undertones to it.
Gotta say, it took me a few days to get used to Director Who's way of talking.
Xinyan was pretty spooked too when she first got here. Just like when she sees a frog, but a giant frog with sharp teeth.
Come on, knock it off.
What's wrong? I've never seen someone look so confused before. Well, don't worry, because Director Who's here.
I've heard that Hu Tao's voice actor, I think it's the English one, shares the same voice as...
Was a Fontaine musician
I think it's Ren.
who went around town on a mission.
Not sure though.
He came door to door for his iridescence tour, looking for acts to audition.
Yeah, she was really into poetry, wasn't she?
Xinyan's chords and Yunjin as our mentor. We'll take the stage by storm with flames roaring and the whole audience calling for more.
And that might be a good way to like, hopefully she doesn't use it to like keep promoting the funeral parlor. But genuinely, I feel bad for Hu Tao because I feel like she is generally somewhat disliked in Liyue. But, you know,
for sure.
Maybe make things a little better for her.
We'll be yelling encore, encore.
Jeez.
Paimon's rhyming along. But when you say flames roaring, are you
I mean, two of them do have pyro visions. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Don't you worry about that. I'm pretty experienced on the stage, and I've already informed the Yuhong of all the pyrotechnics we're planning on using.
Imagine if they just didn't tell them.
Guess we'll just have to trust Xinyan on this one. Oh, Zhongli. He took one of those fancy meal boxes and set off for the mountains.
Oh, okay.
Said he wanted to pay a visit to some old friends. It's a real pity that he couldn't be around for this. As well as being a true connoisseur.
You know, I've always wondered if Hu Tao has any kind of like... She has a voice line. I'll look at it in a sec. That like gives an inkling that maybe she suspects.
Matter of fact,
But
he was the one who
still,
first invited me to perform here.
you just gotta wonder.
To tell the truth, though,
Because no one's theoretically around him as much as she is.
rehearsing here one day.
Well, now you know. The Wangsheng Funeral Parlor is a great location. All of you are always welcome to come and hang out here, especially if you're in the mood to try something new. I can speak to that. Hu Tao is always full of fun surprises.
And jump scares.
Yeah.
Actually, Xinyan, I have some lyric ideas for your part. Do you want to go through them together?
Sure thing. I'm all ears.
Oh, Traveler in Paimon, I believe Zhongli was heading to Mount Hulao, so make sure you're hiking up the right hill.
Thanks, Hu Tao. Wonderful.
When you see Zhongli, please
Honestly, though, I wouldn't mind hanging out with Hu Tao or
It's
Jinyoung.
up to him whether he wants to support us at the performance tonight, but I expect him to make time for the upcoming
It is wholesome to see that she gets along with Yunjin and Jinyoung, though. Because I knew she kind of got along with like Chongyun and Xingqiu to some extent.
If there's one thing I've learned from
But
being
still.
the funeral director, it's how to throw a party.
That's... Sure. Let's go with that. That's, oh my gosh. Jeez. That being said, though, I have heard that, like, Hu Tao, I mean, I think lore-wise, she's supposed to take, like, once it actually comes to the ceremony, everything aside, she does take it very seriously. One thing I wanted to look at, though, was she had a voice line about Zhongli.
Zhongli
looks young,
Yeah,
but
see?
his personality's a bit dusty. Knows everything, but doesn't fret over anything. Couldn't be that he's, forget it,
Yeah,
whatever.
like, I don't think she suspects that he's, like, Rex Lapis, per se. But I think that potentially she does suspect that he's an Adepti, based on that voice line. Or Adeptus. I can never remember which one you're supposed to say. But I also just get the feeling that Hu Tao doesn't really care. Which makes it even funnier to me. But also, like, the perfect boss for him.
It's illuminated gear and illuminated bird
Oh my gosh.
A familiar
It was Moon
face.
Carver, not Moon Chaser.
Have you come from Liyue Harbor? How is the city nowadays?
Everything's great. But you know, if you're so curious, you can always go and check it
I'm
out
genuinely curious now to see what their human
In
forms
fact,
look like.
Moon Carver has been taking many walks on Mount Tianheng in recent
Okay.
times. I believe the sights of the city are quite familiar to him.
Zhongli, here you are. We've brought the bamboo shoots you wanted.
Impeccable timing. Traditionally, bamboo shoot soup ought to be slow cooked for many hours on low heat. Using Adeptus arts to hasten
Hey,
the
if you have-
process is something of a
If you have a
shortcut.
technique to make the meal come sooner, why wouldn't you use it?
Mechanism. Is that?
Indeed. Cloud Retainer kindly lent me her supreme cuisine.
That thing is massive. Holy crud.
Not just call it a cooking machine?
I didn't realize it was,
Actually, never mind.
like when you compare it to Zhongli.
She take a lot of pride in her mechanical gizmos,
Jeez.
so it's probably best if Paimon doesn't go changing the name willy-nilly.
How do you
I
take,
trust
like,
that
the
you
lid
found
off
the
of it?
answers you were seeking during your recent journey?
Yep.
Excellent. The past should be remembered, but not overly dwelt upon. Our journey should be seen as a means to take on more from the world around us. When the bamboo shoot soup is ready, I must insist that you try some for
It's almost like
yourself.
we went and got the main ingredient for you, Zhongli. Even though you came up to the mountains anyway. Oh my gosh.
It's up to him whether he wants to support us at the performance tonight,
Oh.
but I expect him to make time for the upcoming banquet
mean,
we're
she is his
planning.
boss.
No excuses.
Having Hu Tao as your boss has got to be weird too.
She must be in the Lantern Rite Music Festival. As for the banquet, she didn't tell us anything more about that, but she invited us to come as well.
Okay.
As you can see, I have a prior engagement with 2 Adepti friends of mine tonight. Please, give Director Hu my best wishes for the performance. As for the banquet, since the director insists, far be it from a mere consultant like myself to
Oh, yeah.
refuse.
Yay! Then we'll see you there?
Absolutely.
It's free food, Zhongli, and you're always broke.
The bamboo shoot soup is ready.
I wonder if Hu Tao even pays
Thank
Zhongli.
you. I will examine
You would
it
imagine
right
so,
away.
but it just...
The appearance
funny.
is exquisite.
Granted, with the amount of money he throws around, no salary is probably enough for
The craftsmanship
what he
of this
chooses to do.
machine is commendable indeed. Since you came all this way, you should not leave empty-handed. Please, take some soup. It tastes most exquisite while still warm.
Piping hot bamboo shoot soup. I wonder if it's these type of dishes I try not to use any dish if I only have one of them. I just think that the descriptions are really funny too. Like part of the reason why, like, I think it's usually technically the most efficient to, like, when you cook, to use characters like, I think Jean's one that give you like the best version. But sometimes I'll just cook with Hu Tao to see what the description is. Like, you start with the delicious mushroom pizza. It's a party in your mouth and the cheese and mushrooms invited all their delicious friends. Then you have the normal one, right? When it's still warm, the cheese becomes stretchy and gooey, satisfying to eat. And then this one. If you bite through the brick-like texture, at least you can ease your hunger. Just the contrast is really funny to me. Like, even these descriptions, like, I think it's cool just to think that someone really sat down and probably spent a lot of time thinking about, like, a somewhat hilarious way to describe it. Like a really well-cooked version, a normal version, and then just a version that things could have gone better on, shall we say. Oh. We weren't even that close to the harbor. Oh, do we actually get to see their performance?
I'm honored to be here iridescence tour stage. All right, without further ado, I'm Xinyan, this is Hetao, and this is a little something called...
Everybody's cheering. And it is a rock song.
The Blaze Lilies!
Oh, that's nice. Hey, it's everyone else. Oh, I guess we hadn't seen Chongyun and Xingqiu yet.
I'm up here blazing trails through the midnight sky, lighting up the world below. And when the crowds all hear my voice, they'll meet the spirit of rock and roll.
Let's go! Hey, you butterfly, you two buzzing by, guiding your way to the afterlife, opening the path without a fright. Oh, I'll light the fire, watch it blaze across the universe. I'll spit my rhymes, watch your step, or you'll get burned. Hey!
That was nice. That's actually really cool.
Does anyone have any plans tomorrow? With another year behind us, I think we deserve a celebration of our own.
There's
My
Beidou.
treat. Interested?
The Tianquan footing the bill?
Yelan receiving information. I was just saying, like, oh yeah, this is like the last group we see. And then we're seeing all these groups that we hadn't seen yet. Oh, I'm sorry. Zhao's off doing his thing. That's gotta be such a cool sight to see. Because I think there are similar festivals in real life.
Master, listen!
I am still somewhat confused on what Yao Yao, like, she's a kid, she doesn't necessarily have to have, like, a job or anything, but, like, I wonder what it is she's, like, she is, because she...
May the year ahead.
Didn't they say her master was, like, Zhongling, now it's Madame Ping, now she's with Madame Ping.
Master, the Xiao Lanterns,
Ha! Elementary. One shall fashion for you a Xiao lantern, the likes of which the world has never seen. And you must take it to Liyue Harbor to display its magnificence for all.
That's really wholesome, too. Like a parent giving them something to show off.
Listen! It must be Madame
So she did play it. I will say, as someone who doesn't get spooked by horror games but does get spooked by jump scares, though, it'd be bad for my heart. Jeez. They're just... Wouldn't it be bad, not to ruin the immersion or anything, but wouldn't it be bad to fire fireworks right next to a bunch of paper floating lanterns? Makes for a really cool sight, but like, wouldn't that be a little bit dangerous? I will say, is there another part 2? No, okay. I will say, I really enjoyed that Lantern Rite. I think to me it felt a little bit shorter, I think, than the previous one. But I thought that was really, really cool. The whole music theme, everything. The fact that it showed so many characters, because I'm trying to remember if we even saw, like, some of these characters last Lantern Rite. I know some of them weren't, you know, in the game like Yao Yao, but just seeing, like, even a quick cameo from pretty much every single character I can think of in Liyue. Like, I mean, I guess we could just go over this. Like, we saw Yao Yao.
Wait.
See Sumeru, Inazuma, Yelan, Shenhe, Yunjin. Let's see. I don't think that Kazuo technically counts. I mean, you would assume... I still can't tell if he's constantly traveling with the Alcor and Beidou all the time, but... You would assume they're still on good terms, but he's technically Inazuma. Yanfei, Hu Taoxiao, Ganyu, Jinyan. Chi-Chi, Zhongyun, did I miss someone? Ningguang, Xingqiu. Yeah, I think we literally saw every single playable character from Liyue, this Lantern Rite, which is really, really cool stuff. I can really appreciate that. Anyways, let's go ahead and... I mean, I know it's not voiced or anything, but maybe we'll do, like, the first round of each of the mini-games. I'll probably do the rest off stream. I'm thinking. In all honesty, I'll probably just speed through this one. The character quests tend to be really, really cool. They're hard to make, like, a full stream out of, because they usually only take, like, an hour and a half or two. But what I'll probably do is... Next weekend, I do think I'll probably do another IS2 stream. I don't know what else I'll stream. I've been thinking about doing some other stuff. I have a friend who convinced me to install Escape from Tarkov. I know that's becoming really popular right now. Thought I maybe would try that out. I did, like, one PvE mission and got dumpstered immediately. So maybe I'll practice that a little bit. I've thought about doing, like I was mentioning... I think I mentioned this earlier in the stream. Doing a nostalgia Binding of Isaac playthrough where we just, like, maybe one weekend, like, because I usually just do stream right now on Saturdays, Sundays, have, like, maybe Saturdays or Sundays, one of the 2 days, be dedicated towards that play file, and then the other day we do something else. But the issue with that is doing a full, like, I mean, to get a fully Dead God achievement file, even if you won every single run and got at least one achievement completed every single time, doing a Dead God save file takes an absurd amount of time, and some things I wouldn't even be able to do on stream, like, I can't remember if it's Broken Modem, but there's an item that you have to do, like, a certain number of consecutive daily challenges. It would take a very long time, so what I maybe would do is just, like, play some of it off stream and then just occasionally do some of the things on stream. That, and there's some things like Tainted Jacob or Tainted Laz that I just wouldn't... It wouldn't be first try. It would take many attempts. But I do also wonder, like I've been thinking recently, they pretty much always release a character quest with a 5-star character. So naturally we'll do Dea's and probably pull on Dea on stream. When she comes out next patch. Probably be in like a month and a half. Although I don't know if she's going to be the first or second banner. And then, I would assume the first banner. I think most of the time the new character is, but not always. Just because then they release like the character quest. How are you going to release that if the character isn't playable? Unless they delay it for the first banner. But I'm wondering what are the characters we'll get hangout events for. I don't know if other people enjoy them, but I actually think they're really, really fun. Like Hazel's being the detective agency, Shinobu learning about like her shrine maiden background, Beto's. I think I really appreciated Beto's because I think a lot of people didn't realize how like likable of a character she was. Like, oh, my game just tapped out. But I really like Beto. But it's like there was like a meme going by of it was like someone pulling a cart. And the top one was Yaimiko having her like editors and whatnot at the publishing house pulling her on the cart. Then it was Beto and all of her crew members actually pulling the cart together. And then there was the last one is Ito and the other members of the gang sitting on the cart and then Shinobu pulling them. It was just like a meme of like different styles of leadership. Okay, let's go see what this score 3,000 points. They usually don't make these challenges very difficult because you have to consider people have to be able to do them realistically on mobile too. So I haven't run into a challenge on PC that's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna have to do this more than like a couple times. Usually it's like those adventure ones or like the dungeons where you have to seek out certain things that I just straight up miss something and have to go back. But that's one thing I think people also have to realize about like Spiral Abyss is the difficulty can only be raised so high because it still has to be doable on mobile. In the Radiant Sparks challenge, less time taken, more challenge coins collected. Okay. Obtain this. Okay, so this is like a running through. Like we had one in Dragonspine like this. Character would dash forward. Okay. Firewood fruits. We'll figure it out as we go. Okay. That's neat. And usually these first ones are like showing you all of the mechanics and stuff. Oh, well, I'm gonna miss that coin. Why are there fireworks going? Oh, that's kind of a cool detail, actually. So to say, why are there fireworks? It's literally the Lantern Rite. Don't know why I was confused about that. What's nice about these two is you don't necessarily have to collect every single coin or anything to get a perfect score. And I'm not exactly nitpicky about like getting the highest score the fastest. Interrupted challenges can be restarted. Well, I know you can obviously restart the challenge if you quit it out, but I wonder, what does it mean by interrupted? It's like if you run into a quest start. Oh, well, I messed that one up. Got the coin still somehow. Is that where I'm going? I can never tell. Yeah, there we go. I can never tell how high the air currents are meant to take you. Yeah, see, like that took like 30 seconds. I'll probably just do it off stream. There were another 15 coins. I wonder which ones I missed. That little bulb I missed might have spawned some more, and I know sometimes the events do that. Like I said, let's just do the one of each of these, I think, and then I'll probably go ahead and end the stream there. Alright, next is the one supposedly for Union. I mean, I don't know if they're actually supposed to represent the character now, because this one had Yao Yao on it. We talked to some random lady, and then that was it. So who knows? Yeah. Trying to figure out where this performance is. I wonder if this is like a music-based one. They do that pretty often. A paper play, okay. Brave Beard. This almost seems to me like, I know there's adults here, but it's kind of cool that they'd have like, realistically you'd have some kind of mini performance for the children at a festival. Mountain-bound, worshiping adepti, exercising demons, or ascension, huh? Goes home to see his sister. Homecoming. So Bravebeard, a lonely girl named Yumi. Oh, I forgot I had it on auto. Well, if it's like a paper play, like a little like theater thing. Yeah, paper figures pasted on silk. I mean, that's really cool. It's like a little theater you can make. Wong Wong, suffering from human injustice. Like I said, I mean, I could read all this out. I'm kind of guilty of not doing that a whole lot. I read through it and then just kind of skip on. But, maybe. Poor sister was now alone and helpless. I mean, I sometimes give like a quick little recap, but it's why like I didn't want to do the world quest, because I'm absolutely certain that Golden Slumber one I haven't done, and then the R&R one, most of it isn't voiced. And if I sat there and read every single line out loud and tried to voice act and everything, the R&R quest, doing that would have taken like 15-16 hours. It takes a long time. I don't know how long Golden Slumber is, but honestly, I probably wouldn't do that. Okay. Interesting. So you would assume you talk to him. Oh, okay. There's a lot of scenes here. So, an actor named Huang Guang will move at his fixed speed and change direction upon making contact with the paper theater's edge or obstacles. Okay. Traps will appear to impede, so I guess the idea is we're trying to oh, I see. That's really cool. So the idea is to allow the character to move forward. We could do at least this one real quick. So you would assume, I mean, the character just moves, so as soon as it gets to the edge, you just switches. Oh, oh. Oh, wait a second. Oh, I messed up. Oh, can he touch? Hold on. So he turns around upon hitting that. I don't think I did this right. Hold on. This is melting my brain. There we go. It shouldn't have been that hard. I have a really hard time with thinking outside the box, though. That's why I was really good at math, but really not that great at science. In that case, I'm curious. Oh, there's one more scene for this one. Like I said, these little mini games are pretty cool, but not anything like too crazy. So what we have to do here is, oh, he can't move. Okay, so you have to like turn him around like that. Neat stuff. It's a unique idea. Something that like I've seen similar mechanics in games before, but the idea itself is really cool, and it's a unique way to kind of put it into practice. You get 20 primos for every single one. I just always remember I have a friend who was like, man, they give us these events and they're like really cool in theory, and then you get like 2 wishes. I think on the bigger events you usually get around the 10 pull, but that's part of Genshin though. As like I usually just do monthly pass. Occasionally I'll do a little bit more, admittedly, but I think being a monthly pass and then battle pass player, you can usually get a little bit over a soft pity patch. So that's always nice. And on to the third one, let's see what it is. Was there more to that quest? Hold on. That one still had an exclamation point. No, I think it's just, okay. And I did, like I said, I didn't play the first little bit of this event, so I don't know how much, like, was available at the start. You would assume just the first section of each one was available at the start of the event, because we're a few days in, and then usually these big events are at least pieces every like 3 days. That's why I wasn't sure if we'd be able to play the full-on event at the start, but it was only the main story being 2 parts, which is fine. You gotta consider for like a temporary event, a lot of work goes into programming these types of things, getting voice actors and everything. Anyway, when her brothers and sisters on duty. Yeah, Beto's very... Oh, and she gave everyone a button. Beto would be a good boss. I don't think I'd be good at like... Like, I don't think I'd be good at working on a ship. I don't know if I get seasick. I've been on boats and stuff before, but I don't know if I'd want to travel. I personally like right now I drive a truck for a specialty lumber company. Don't think that's enough to dox me or anything. I know I've said I've lived in the Midwest, US, but like that job, I just basically go on day trips, you know? So, without giving any locations away, the furthest I've driven is like 2 hours, I think, away from the warehouse. So I basically just am like a day driver. I still get to come home at the end of the day. It's not really the case when you're going on months-long journeys on the Alcor. But I like Beto. Revenue increased, so she also increased her pay. Man, if only. New Britannia? Oh, okay. She gave everyone time off, but... And, you know, you can't just leave the Alcor unmanned. That's how you get a ship stolen. I wonder if this will be the same, though. We had that little boat challenge way back when in another event right next to the Alcor, where you just kind of drive a boat through, like, objectives and whatnot. And they kind of presented it as, like, this is example of combat training if you are a member of the Alcor and the Crux fleet. Which they always call it a fleet, but even in cutscenes where the fleet was fighting, I think we've only seen the one ship. Get a certificate. Yeah, it's another Wave Rider thing. Wave Riders were a nice addition to the game. Multiplayer and single player. I'll probably just do single player here. I've done multiplayer on a few of these though, and it seems like it's about... I'm just gonna skip through it so I have a general idea of what it is. Worst comes to worst, we fail like an idiot. But it seems like it's usually... There we go. It's usually balanced around like whether or not you're playing it with multiple people. Oh, okay, so it rolls like a... Okay. So after using this, Wave Rider won't take damage, the Wave Rider rush forward. Wonder if you have to use those in tandem with each other. Not a super huge area, there's one big, like, pitfall there. Is that coin moving? Oh, okay. So I wasn't supposed to just rush into that. Unless maybe I'm supposed to do it with... Oh, okay, you have to use the skill for that. That was probably... Uh-oh, don't rush into the explosive barrels. The challenge is to collect lantern coins. Oh. Fireworks contain coins. So we need... They all look the same color to me. I'm going to be honest. Oh, they're there. Okay. So it's like the red color. Okay, you get 10 coins there. We had the boost. I did not use that properly, and I damaged myself. I did not. I think I got one of those. Okay, now it's yellow. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna break the Wave Rider. It's interesting because you don't get the boost skill, I think, and the damage one at the same time, it appears. I don't know how many coins we needed to get, but I feel like I really did not collect that many coins. Also, I ran through a bunch of the wrong things. I mean, I was fairly close to breaking the Wave Rider. Challenge success score is 300. Yeah, I feel like I played that fairly poorly, but again, you gotta consider that has to be playable on mobile. Let me see. Vigilance at C. Oh, okay, so it's amount of score across all the stages. Or a total score. Oh, okay, so that, I think, is actually... That's a nice picture of Beto. I think it's like a Windbloom Festival where you just play it as many times as you need until you get... Yeah, you just play it as many times as you need and then your score adds up. It's not too hard. This last one. I mean, that one at least... Well... I think they just tried to show off art here, because like I was saying, that one... Is that meant to be Beto, not Guizhou? Maybe then. But it's like there's a paper theater that could at least be somewhat traced to like Yunjin being part of the opera. You have the, you know, Vigilance at Sea. If that is meant to be Beto, there's a ship in the background. So who knows, behind the scenes though. And I get it, you can't have like every single part involve playable characters. Because then you have to pay voice actors, you have to not only... And you gotta consider there's voice actors of every single language. I really do wonder, like... Genshin's obviously successful enough that it probably does have the funds to do that, but for like a smaller game, or maybe one that's just kicking off and hasn't really reached its peak popularity yet, I just always wonder, you know? Because like Arknights, for example, doesn't have English voice actors for a lot of its characters, and Arknights has gotten really popular. I mean, popular enough to make an anime, potentially some other like spin-off games and stuff, but still, you know. So this is like it's clearing out bandits probably. Okay. So you launch a firework to designate the area as cleared. Okay, okay. Interesting stuff. Digging dirt. But yeah, it seems like they've added quite a few minigames to this. This event is another one of these events. Like, what was it? The publishing one? The reason, too, I wasn't sure is, for example, we had the Inazuma event where, like, Klee and Albedo ended up in Inazuma. I wasn't sure if that event was going to end up with, you know, everything being pieced out in bits as it was. Because I'm pretty sure that event you could not play the entire story of it immediately. Oh, it's this one. We have seen this before, though. You get the, like, you get the little treasure chest, and then you go to the next area via a wind current. I want to say we did this in Mondstadt, though, not Liyue, last time. Could be wrong. But we have done, like, this exact same, like, formula, which I think is fine. It's one of those, like... You don't have to make a completely brand new, like, never seen before event to make something interesting. That being said, though, I do feel like... bringing this particular team to this event is probably overkill. I mean, I've shown my general purpose team. It's usually Raiden, Eula, Kokomi, and a random sub DPS. Bringing my Hoot... Because I do think overall, in terms of boss DPS and clear, this is my most powerful team. Not the one I usually use. And I just really like... For some reason, I just always found that playing Eula feels really good. But... yeah, I was like, ah, let's use a different team on stream today. This team is going to decimate this challenge. And to be fair, the event stages usually are significantly easier. The only thing that I think even tends to be a little difficult in Genshin is Spiral Abyss. I've seen a lot of more experienced players give like newer players a little bit of flack for that. I don't think that's necessary. I think Spiral Abyss is something that is very intimidating, for sure. And like, I'm lazy, so I don't even always 36 star it. I'm gonna be honest. But like I'll usually just clear floor 12 and be like, cool. But I think people, like, I think it's one of those weird situations where I think newer players versus older players, I think for a new player, it's just very intimidating to do full-on Spiral Abyss, but then more experienced players, I think, tend to, like, overstate how easy it can be, because you'll see, like, those new players. I think there was someone who, potentially on stream, I'd heard had cleared the Spiral Abyss within, like, I think it was 3 weeks on a completely free-to-play account, which is impressive. But you have to consider a completely new player who has never played Genshin before wouldn't be able to do that. And we do get a free Yao Yao. Or potentially, oh, okay, so you get to choose any of the 4 stars from Leo. Obviously, we'll choose Yao Yao. What I do with basically every character is the 4 stars I usually just roll for 1 copy. If it's not a banner I'm going to be rolling on. Because I figure cons will come with time. I mean, as someone who rolls like a decent amount, you know, you'll eventually get your cons on all the 4-star characters. When I first started playing, I really wanted Rosaria. I now have C6 Rosaria, you know? And I didn't have Rosaria for a long time. It's actually the specific reason why, because I don't play Tartaglia. Nor do I particularly like the character. I'm a little biased on that one, though. Same thing with Wanderer / Scaramouche. I'll be honest, I'm just biased. But Tartaglia is actually the only character that I've accidentally pulled as far as 5 stars go. And it was because I was pulling for Rosaria. Like, it happens. But it's kind of funny and sad in the same way. Part of the reason I almost never get spooked by the wrong 5-star is... I'm personally someone who plans out his wishes really far in advance so I can get the characters I want. But I almost never get an early 5-star. People say it should be 1 and 3. Mathematically, I think is what they base that on. I do genuinely think for me it's closer to 1 out of every 5 or 6 5-stars come early. And I almost always go to soft pity. And not only that, I almost always lose 50-50. Which means that I don't have to worry about getting spooked super hard. But like I was saying, we'll see. I mean, I did spend a little bit with the Primo Gem reset, I'll be honest. But I have just under, actually right almost about, by that point, 295 wishes right now. Plus you have to consider when you wish, you get this Star Glitter back, and every 5 is another wish. I should have enough to guarantee I can get C1 Yelan and Dea. I would love to get Aqua Simulacra, but I try not to roll on... Where I've really spent a lot of money on Genshin has been on the banners that I've tried to get weapons for. I didn't know I had R2 on this weapon. I'll be honest. Like, I like to get my weapons. I'd love to get a complete set of my most used characters, at least with their signature weapons, which is really just Eula's weapon. I use Yelan a lot, but I have Venti's weapon for her. I don't even have Venti. I think I got Venti's weapon trying to get Hu Tao's weapon. Like... I'm trying to remember if I got any of these characters' weapons on their first try. But, who knows. Emma's bow I just happened to get through, like, standard banner, I think. But, the only other character weapon, unless I really find another character that I absolutely fall in love with, I will probably only make the investment, because it's probably not wise financially for me right now, saving money for everything, is if Eula's weapon comes back around. And that being said, too, I have no idea what new characters are upcoming. Like, it's... I don't know. It's one of those things where, obviously, it comes down to, like, luck to some extent. It is a gacha game. Because, for example, if you're trying to get a new character, some people will get them on a new account with 1 wish. That's just how gacha games are. But when you consider, like, the theoretical almost maximum, you probably won't ever have to go much further than, like, 80 wishes, because 70 is soft pity. And then it's, like, a 20% chance with hard pity being 90. So I usually calculate 80 wishes... times 2 for a soft pity for a character. It's like worst case scenario, it's like 160 wishes, usually, to get a character. If you're at 0 pity as well, which I think I am. If history decides to pull up. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I am on 0 pity, since I pulled C2 Raiden. But for a weapon, soft pity is 10 wishes lower. You know, so that helps. But in theory, I think I'm trying to remember how many it is. But it's more than that because you have to, worst case scenario, and this does happen to a lot of people, including me when I've rolled on Weapon Banner, you have to get 2 points. Like, say I chart court for this one, I need 2 fate points, and then the third one's guaranteed to be, I believe the way it works is, like, it's a 50-50 if you get one of these 2 weapons, or maybe it's, I'd have to remember. I haven't rolled on Weapon Banner in a long time. Okay, so it's a 75% chance that you get... one of the 2 weapons on the weapon banner, it looks like. So there's that 25% chance that it's not the right one. And then it's obviously 50-50 on that 75% chance that you get whichever weapon you're looking for. And then I believe the second time it is guaranteed. So maybe, I don't recall if that's always the way it was. I thought it was 50-50 that you even got one of these 2. So it's not the worst chance in theory. Like, based statistically, most people won't have to go all 3 weapons 5 stars just to get their preferred weapon. But it could happen. People always joke about weapon banner being a scam, but I do think generally speaking, and you also have to consider having a whole new character, in my opinion at least, is a very different investment than having just a weapon. That makes the character very powerful. Because there's also the argument that, yeah, some people want to just get like 4 C6 characters because you can only have 4 on the field at one time, you know, technically 8 with Spiral Abyss. But I'm the type of person that wants to have every character. I'd rather have a C0 or C1 of every single character if possible than have like a quarter of the characters at C6. Yes, in theory, I think the person with a quarter of the characters at C6 will have a much easier time with everything. But the only thing that's truly, truly difficult, and I know a lot of people say this, is probably Spiral Abyss, combat-wise. There are some bosses that are annoying, some bosses that require specific elemental characters, but like the game makes sure you have characters of those elements, you know? Like you are basically guaranteed to have, like, as a new player with a little bit of time, Noelle, all the free welfare 5 stars, and then like the actual like guaranteed characters, which I believe is what, like Barbara, Jongling, I know you can get permanently on a new account. Who else do you get? Amber, Kaya, Lisa, Noelle. I think I already said Noelle. Like Genshin's one of those games that free to play, monthly pass, battle pass, all that stuff. If you play long enough, you'll at least have some diversity of characters. But obviously, you're not going to end up with every character. But either way, I'm going to stop rambling, guys. I had a really fun time this stream. I really enjoyed the new Lantern Rite setup. I thought about exploring the new Sumeru area. I'll probably just do that on my own, to be honest. Run out, grab the Statue of the Seven, collect resources and stuff. I just don't think it'll be that interesting. I do talk often about how I feel like Genshin is a game that doesn't have a whole lot of content to explore. But for me personally, that's also because I'm not the type of person that wants to stream Spiral Abyss. You know, I know some Genshin content creators will stream like other stuff. I watch, I think her name is Kumax, and she does like tier lists and funny, silly stuff like that. I really enjoy that kind of thing. But I don't know if I have like the know-how yet or the personality to stream that type of thing. I love tier lists. I've thought about doing tier list content because that's kind of popular right now with some stuff. But, you know, like exploring a new area for me is usually just me wandering around. Like I was talking about the world quest. Like there is, admittedly, like I think a lot of people share this sentiment, but there is a lot of content to stream on Genshin. They work very hard on it. It just, for me personally, I like to do those like new exciting events, pulling on characters, that type of thing. And then I find things like roguelikes with really high replayability really often. Really good stuff to cover. So next weekend, we'll see. Who knows, maybe there'll be something else to stream in Genshin. I'm trying to find new things to stream, but I will probably stream at least one day next weekend doing Arknight's IS2. But I'll go ahead and end the stream there, guys. Thanks for everyone who stopped by. I know a few people stopped by. I think a few of my friends said they were going to come watch for a little bit that don't play Genshin anymore. Kind of gives people an idea of whether or not they'd like to play the game. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you next